trash compactor is. I can't say that I've seen one driving down the road or anything like that, but that does not sound fun. I don't really know what to say about that.
I'm going to guess texting and driving or some heavy drugs are involved.
That's probably a correct case. Again, it's a Too Stupid Thursday. She obviously got her Subaru in a trash compactor in Massachusetts, so that's definitely a story that would
Subaru in Massachusetts. Imagine that too. So, well, at least our day's starting off better than hers.
Yeah.
So
I can't imagine again trying to get out at that point. I'm picturing like that old scene in Star Wars where they're in that point when it's Leia, when it's Han, and it's Luke, and they're in that point where they're about to get scrunched, and it's a scary situation. Luckily, they figure it out and shut it off to that point. But yeah. That is a scary situation. Luckily, again, she's not injured to this point in time. Well,
that was my main concern.
Yeah, is that. Well, luckily, again, you don't have Arkansas football this week, but you do have a basketball game. And I know people are going to be keeping an eye on college football across the board this week, particularly what goes on at Jacksonville. I think it's still TIAA Field where the Gators and the Bulldogs will play this weekend. But you do have some Razorback sporting event that you can keep your eye on. I mean, what do you think, Tommy, with we know football's the king here in the state and on our airwaves, but how many people do you think are either going to watch? We already heard there's at least 17,000 that are going to be in Bud Walton Arena, most likely. I mean, how many eyes are going to be on this basketball game this weekend, in your opinion?
Oh, I think, a lot of people. I was at the golf course yesterday and was talking to a couple of your buddies, and they're fired up about going. Yep. They were both going. And, I hear more conversation about it. Now, is that a sign of the football season and the way it's gone, or genuine excitement about basketball? If the football team was 6-2 rather than 2-6, what would the coffee shop conversation be like? We went to get a haircut. What would it be chatting about in the barbershop? I don't think it'd be nearly as much basketball as we're hearing this week. So, I think people will be that. I still don't think you're going to have this, capacity crowd, and you should because you got a great opponent coming in. But I just don't really think people have fully turned the page. They may have in some coffee shop talk, but I don't know that, we'll see what happens this Saturday. I don't know if they will.
Yeah, I agree. We're 2-6, but I think, the coordinator change, I think there's some hope that the football team can kind of turn it around. With it being a bye week as well, this basketball team, people are looking for something to lift their spirits a little bit. And if you beat Purdue, I know it's an exhibition. They're ranked number 3 in the country. That would definitely do that.
Does that convert more people to basketball season if they win this weekend? Do more people turn the page regardless of what happens next weekend? Do people say, all right, it's basketball season now, this team just beat a top 5, a national championship contender? Does that force some that were kind of like on the fence, but it's like, oh, man, I got to lock into this basketball team after the game this weekend?
Yeah, no doubt.
What do you think, Tommy?
You beat Purdue, yeah.
Oh, I think, it's going to generate some excitement. You're going to have a spike here, and then you're going to play Alcorn State. And people will be excited because it's the opener, but you're going to have a few of those games, and it will ramp up again. I can guarantee you this, and here's what we need to think about. What are people discussing at the Thanksgiving table? It's probably not, I hope it's the football team, because that probably means you've won 3 and you feel like you can beat Missouri and get yourself bowl eligible and turn this thing around, or have turned it around, and you found some answers. But I think most of the discussion at the Thanksgiving table here in less than a month is probably going to be about this basketball team and Duke coming up. So, that's kind of where my mind's at. Hey, what are you and the family going to be discussing? Don't talk about politics. Let's talk about the Razorbacks and which sport is it going to be at the Thanksgiving table. I think basketball may take that conversation for the first time in a while.
And people do have different definitions of turning it around. Some will say 2 wins in the final 4 games is turning it around. Some people say 3. Some people will only say that the only way they turn it around is they win the remaining 4 regular season games. Some people want 5 wins, the 4 regular season games, and then a bowl win, which is the least likely scenario to happen at this point. But I am curious, again, we're taking your calls and texts on the McClarty Daniel hotline. What would you consider an Arkansas football turnaround this season in the remaining 4 games? Don't have a game this weekend. Starting next week, though, what do you consider a good turnaround for this team after starting 2-6, losing 6 straight?
All right, that's where we begin on this kind of wet and damp Thursday morning here on the Morning Rush. We are brought to you by Pradco. You know, some fishing this Friday and Saturday, probably still going to be some good fishing weather, and then it's going to really cool off at the beginning of next week. Need to get that Bobby Garland baby shad on board and ready to go in your tackle box. It's the number one volume lure. Of all the products they make, they sell more Bobby Garland baby shad than anything else. You can find it at Walmart, Bass Pro Shops, Academy, and LureNet.com. You can work it under a light jig head or underneath the float, and you'll find it to be as productive as live bait. That's the reason it's been the number one soft plastic crappie lure in the U.S. for a long time now. Find yours at LureNet.com and tackle stores all over the place. It's the Bobby Garland baby shad.
All right, we still got plenty of Sam Pitman stuff to get into, not just from yesterday, but still some stuff from earlier this week, including, again, his thoughts on radio and college football. All that is coming up.
Just say, Alexa, play ESPN Arkansas.
ESPN Arkansas from TuneIn.
Hey, this is Billy Ray Smith Jr., and you're listening to The Morning Rush.
The best selection of RVs is now even better at Wheels RV in Springdale. Wheels RV has added Brinkley RVs to the already loaded lineup of Grand Design and Forest River products. See the Brinkley Model Z, the latest innovation in luxury fifth wheels. And like always, every new RV comes with a lifetime warranty, so you can camp with confidence. So stop in and find out why Wheels has been voted best RV dealer year after year. Wheels RV, 5 miles west of exit 72 off of I-49 in Springdale. Seek, explore, discover with Wheels RV.
This is the Morning Rush.
Touchdown, Razorback!
Brothers Roofing and Restoration wants to put a new roof on your home for free. Go to hitthatline.com and enter the free roof sweepstakes. Have you had recent wind or storm damage? Has your insurance company denied your roofing claim? Enter to win a free roof valued at up to $15,000 from Brothers Roofing and Restoration. Go to hitthatline.com and click on free roof. Deadline to enter is November 10th. Get a free roof on your home from Brothers Roofing and Restoration.
What are you Jimmy staring at? Back to work. Oh, work.
Discover style that stands out with the 23 Buick Encore GX at Harry Robinson Buick GMC. Right now, get special offers and financing as low as 1.9% on the 23 Buick Encore GX. Save $1,250 in special discount if you own a 09 or newer non-GM vehicle. Plus, get 1.9% financing. The 23 Buick Encore features crisp body line, streamlined stance, and dynamic styling. Experience the new Buick at Harry Robinson Buick GMC. Exit 11 off of I-540 in Fort Smith.
Metal Mart offers high-quality, prefabricated metal buildings, metal roofing, custom trim shops, carports, and more. They strive to be the company where contractors as well as do-it-yourselfers are welcome. Metal Mart assists you in calculating the materials you need to complete your project, all at a rate you can afford. With locations in Fort Smith, Mayflower, Jonesboro, and Little Rock, or catch them online at metalmarts.com. Metal Mart, the right material for the right price.
Riley Farm Dental, at the entrance to Riley Farms, provides every type of dental care and procedure for you and your family, from general dentistry, braces, implants, and cosmetics. Dr. Sparkman, Davis, and Farmer give all of their patients better lives with a better smile, more confident, and a comfortable experience every time. Riley Farm Dental, 5901 Riley Park Drive, Suite A, at the entrance to Riley Farms. Now offering same-day crowns. Call 226-3500 for an appointment or visit RileyFarmDental.com.
Wheeler Power Sports in Fort Smith is your off-road headquarters. Kawasaki has you covered on 2 or 4 wheels with huge savings. Right now, save up to $2,500 on select Kawasaki KX dirt bike models, as well as $2,500 off select Kawasaki Teryx utility vehicles, like the 2023 Kawasaki Teryx SLE. Check out their loaded showroom at 901 North 11th Street near downtown Fort Smith, or see it all online at WheelerPowersports.com. Wheeler Power Sports, family-owned and operated, and keeping the good times rolling since 1967.
After I drop the kids off, I have to run across town for a meeting, hit the gym during lunch. Jake has soccer tonight, and Emily has gymnastics? Oh, did I turn on the crock pot this morning?
With a never-ending to-do list, it's easy to forget something important, like setting up a life insurance plan with Shelter Insurance. Your local Shelter agent can show you how to create a safety net for your family. Shelter Life Insurance Company, Columbia, Missouri.
Call Jeff Clark in Fort Smith or Brad Howe in Van Buren.
Passion is something that exists and all of us.
I know we got a lot of passionate Hog fans listening right now, and I know that all of you love football season. Dave Bushkill and his team over at Eastside Liquor are the exact same way. They can take care of all your tailgating and party needs, whether it's just a few beers or alcohol in bulk. Stop by 9390 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith to check off every item on your list. Eastside Liquor, your #1 stop for Arkansas football this season.
How do I drive more traffic to my website? How do I increase my Google rankings? If these are just a few of the questions you have for your business, then we should talk. In addition to sports radio marketing, ESPN Arkansas can help your business be found online. From website design to geo-targeted campaigns, search engine marketing, social media management, streaming video campaigns, and much more. ESPN Arkansas is your digital marketing partner. Go to espnarkansasdigital.com for your free digital marketing audit or email us at sales@hitthatline.com to schedule an appointment.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Trying to talk to the morning rush, much more important than my real job.
Gives it right side. Green angles right, got a hole across midfield. AJ at the 40, down the sidelines at the 30. He's got a chance to go. He's going to get into the end zone. Touchdown, Arkansas.
The Gimme the Hogs Chuck podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Brought to you by Weichert Realtors, the Griffin Company. You can listen to it at hitthatline.com or wherever you hear your favorite podcasts.
So they're starting prep for the Florida Gators today. We're going to hear from Coach Pitman momentarily. Also going to hear from you on the McClarty Daniel hotline. Tommy, we'll do that coming up in just a sec.
Hey, do you have a loan with a variable to balloon interest rate and you're worried about what interest rates are right now? A lot of people think money's just too expensive to borrow right now. Let Farm Credit lock in a long-term fixed rate for the life of your loan. That will give you the peace of mind you need right now during these changing economic times. And don't worry, if rates come down, no problem. You can easily adjust with no new application, no new financing application, no new appraisals, and no new title work. Farm Credit just makes it simple. Find a Farm Credit office near you at myaglender.com, myaglender.com. Farm Credit is an equal housing lender.
Brent's phoned in this morning. Brent, welcome in, buddy.
Long time no talk. Ty, I'm glad you finally got a weekend, 2 weekends in a row at home.
Yeah, it is. It's not bad to be home. It's not bad to be home, my man.
Y'all were asking just a second ago what you thought, what we thought would be the best. I believe how we'd like to see this season end. Is that right? Something like that. Or what?
What are you going to be talking about at the Thanksgiving table? That was kind of what I was asking. Is it football or is it basketball? Which is dominating the conversation over mashed potatoes, dressing, and turkey this year?
It's definitely going to be the Cowboys game that'll be on at 3:30 that afternoon, and thank God we only got one more game left of this debacle known as a football season.
So you're not optimistic.
No. You think I'm not optimistic at any time when when a coach loses his job in the middle of the year. That's the quickest cop out I've ever seen in my life. To be perfectly honest, that this team, I don't know if I'm not going to drink the jug of Kool-Aid again. I'm just not. I mean, I drank 2 gallons of it during this preseason, and how do they think our offense is going to be so much better if we simplify it when we can't block the simplest of plays? Come on. My Thanksgiving thoughts are going to be, what are we going to do, Hunter Yurchek, to get this program better? Make it your legacy to make this football program better, not knocking down seats out of Walton Arena. That's what I'm going to be talking about.
Well, that's probably going to happen, so brace yourself for that. Appreciate the call. So you're advocating, again, how's this team going to get better? Sam Pitman did touch on that.
I got to be better at whatever my responsibilities are, and there's a bunch of them, no matter what the situation is. I'd lie to you if I told you that some of the things that were going on didn't affect me. That's not an excuse. That's my job to not have a field goal team out there in time to kick the field goal. Doesn't matter what's going on. That's unacceptable.
Coach, I really do appreciate you saying that, and because that was a key part of last week's game and last week's loss. In the final stretch, I get sometimes there is a situation where you go one way and the play goes the other way, unfortunately. But there have been bigger gaps at point this season that they can't afford to have. Arkansas's gap is so narrow. Their execution has to be near flawless to win football games this year. And he's right. It's got to be better in those areas. If he is, then Arkansas might have a better one-score record at this point in time under his leadership.
Yeah. Now, your defense is giving you a little bit of margin for error. And, last week you only need to score 8 points to win the football game. So I think you've had some margin for error because your defense has been so good. You just hadn't taken advantage of it. That's the problem.
Yep, over and over. I mean, how many times have we come in here on Monday and been like, defense, great job. Special teams, great job. Offense, what are you doing? I mean, it feels like I'm just repeating the same thing. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Same thing over and over again. And hopefully Kenny Guiden will change a little bit of that up. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the offense is going to be great under his now leadership, but that's what you're hoping for, is just a little bit of life, and that's what Sam Pitman has been advocating for.
Yeah, but the frustrating thing, we know LSU's defense is, I think it's better than Mississippi State's, but you scored, 31 there, and then you get a couple of second-half touchdowns against Alabama. There's just some things that still don't equate, and I still think this team plays up or down to its competition. I think that was on full display last week. And you did it against a Mississippi. This point's been made a few times, but not nearly enough. Against a Mississippi State team that had a backup quarterback and a banged-up running back that was in and out of the game, Marks with a leg injury. I mean, it's not like you got Mississippi State's best shot either.
No, they're not good, and you lost them at home. I mean, they're everything you just said. No Will Rogers, who is a lethal quarterback in this league, not one of their best running backs in the last decade or so, and they suck. Yeah. They're not a good football team. And
they beat you.
You parlay all that together, and you still lost after not being in front of your own fans for 35 days. And, again, we can pile this on Pitman this week, but players also have to know it's like, y'all, this fan base keeps staying with you, even though that you're 2-6 at this point. And there will still be fans that make their way to Gainesville, Florida. There will still be fans that come for FIU, Auburn, and Missouri, when other fan bases would just give up on the season. You've got to give them something to believe in starting next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. And watching that Mississippi State game, there's no reason that they should have held us to 3 points. I mean, it was almost like an old Alabama defense. I mean, just suffocating. And it was just like every single possession, we didn't make any adjustments to it. I mean, it was just, felt like backyard football. Hope we can connect.
No, backyard football, you'd have more, it would be less lethargic.
Right.
So, I don't know. We're stating the obvious here on things. When we know what the score was, we know how it played out. It's just, what are you going to do to be different? That's the question that we're trying to get answered here as we have. And this is why losing going into a bye week is even worse, because we don't have anything this weekend that's going to change the narrative. That's the problem. The only thing that's changed the narrative is Dan Enos being dismissed and let go. A few staff changes. Other than that, we got to wait. We got to wait till the first weekend in November to change the narrative.
Yeah, it was a mental hurdle. I hope they're over that mental hurdle and they've got some confidence to perform, because they've got the talent to do better than what they've done.
Yeah. Brought to you by APAC Arcola and Standard Materials Group. They have immediate openings in Northwest Arkansas. If you're a licensed CDL driver, heavy equipment operator, an electrician, a diesel mechanic, have experience paving or concrete labor, or have experience in a quarry, they have a job waiting on you. Apply at jobs.crh.com. They have a sign-on bonus, benefits that include insurance, retirement, and profit sharing. Again, you can apply online this morning at jobs.crh.com. APAC Arcola and Standard Materials Group, they are equal opportunity employers.
All right, Chuck Barrett's going to join us momentarily on the other side. We'll get his thoughts again on Coach Pitman, not just earlier this week, but yesterday as well. And continuing to take your calls and text on the McLarty Daniel hotline, whether it's Brent in Stuttgart, whether we go out of the state, go all over the state. We've been naming mascots throughout the week of where people are from. We'd love to hear from you, your thoughts. Not only, again, you're going to see change, but will it be enough to get a couple wins from here on out? We'll address all those things coming up on the Morning Rush.
Listen to every Razorback football game this season right here and hitthatline.com.
The best selection of RVs is now even better at Wheels RV in Springdale. Wheels RV has added Brinkley RVs to the already loaded lineup of Grand Design and Forest River products. See the Brinkley Model Z, the latest innovation in luxury fifth wheels. And like always, every new RV comes with a lifetime warranty, so you can camp with confidence. So stop in and find out why Wheels has been voted best RV dealer year after year. Wheels RV, 5 miles west of exit 72 off of I-49 in Springdale. Seek, explore, discover with Wheels RV.
This is the Morning Rush.
Touchdown, Arkansas!
Gray Brothers Equipment understands the importance of your hay crop, and they're ready to help with quality Kubota products like Kubota rotary disc mowers, Kubota brand wheel hay rakes, and BV round balers attached to Kubota's M-Series cab tractor. Together, Kubota and Gray Brothers will make your hay days fun again. That's Gray Brothers Equipment in Fort Smith and Photo, where if you pick orange, you'll never get a lemon.
The Golf Nut has been Fort Smith's #1 golf shop since 1994. Needing help with your game? Call Matt Brooks with over 10 years of experience in the golf industry. Call him today at 646-4430 and schedule a lesson using the simulator. The best selections of clubs like Callaway Paradigm, TaylorMade Stealth 2, and Peen G430, along with a wide assortment of shoes, apparel, and golf bags. The Golf Nut, 5121 Towson Avenue in Fort Smith, your one-stop shop for everything golf.
The Links at Chaffee Crossing takes great pride in providing award-winning barbecue. Whether the craving is for ribs, pork, brisket, or chicken, we can satisfy any appetite. Stop in and watch the game and enjoy everyday food and drink specials like $5 mixed drink specials or $2 domestic beer. Open Tuesday through Sunday, the Links at Chaffee Crossing is ready to serve you the best barbecue in the River Valley. The Links at Chaffee Crossing next to Deer Trails Golf Course. Come see us.
When a hailstorm comes to the River Valley, homeowners have doubts on what roofing company to deal with. That's why it's better to contact the experts that are local. That company is Construction Masters Roofing, a locally owned company that's ready to change the roof on your home. Construction Masters Roofing is insured and local, specializing in hail claims and replacing windows, siding, and gutters. Construction Masters Roofing, located at 225 North Greenwood Avenue in Fort Smith. Call for a free estimate, 479-648-8888 or 918-859-4724.
Do you need an attorney that you can actually speak with? You need Hickey & Hull Law Partners. The attorneys at Hickey & Hull understand the importance of client communication and are taking the time to meet you, respond to emails, and return calls. Every case is important, and they strive to give each one the time and attention it deserves. Call today, 479-434-2414, or visit them online at kevinhickeylaw.com. Hickey & Hull Law Partners. Things are about to get better.
If you knew all that Jody's Auto Service Centers can do for your vehicle and you'd never take your vehicle anywhere else.
My fleet is small, 14 trucks and cars. It's a struggle every day with parts, employees, and scheduling, but one thing I never worry about is vehicles. Jody's has special fleet pricing, special in and out service, or free shuttle and pickup and delivery service. And they do everything, service, repair, and maintenance. That makes my life much easier. All my vehicles go to Jody's.
Latest technology and highly trained technicians means we could do it all. From the most highly technical repairs to everyday oil change specials, tires, everything, even diesels. Jody'sAuto.com. Schedule free shuttle service or pickup and delivery. Get a tire quote, get financing. Jody's Auto Service Centers, voted best of the best by our customers year after year. We're your neighbors since 1984 with 3 full-service locations in Fort Smith and Van Buren. See for yourself at JODYSAuto.com.
There's a new flavor coming out of the Hardee's Craft Kitchen, Nashville Hot Chicken. Juicy 100% white meat chicken dipped in buttermilk, hand-breaded and seasoned to bring the heat. Try the crispy, spicy goodness in chicken tenders on a famous Hardee's made-from-scratch biscuit or a sandwich. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, Hardee's new Nashville Hot hand-breaded chicken is goodness in the making. For a limited time at participating restaurants. Exclusions may apply by time of day.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Y'all ready for this?
You're listening to The Morning Rush with Ty Richardson, Tommy Kraft, and Chuck Barrett.
I am a big believer in body language, and I will echo what Nelson said a moment ago about body language. What I hope more than anything is that some passion will return on that side of the ball. That's what I see missing right now.
Arkansas has a bit of an advantage on the Florida Gators heading into next weekend. Their sole focus right now is on the Georgia Bulldogs, their rival, the best team maybe in college football. They can't put their focus on next weekend in the Swamp when Arkansas comes into town. I want to talk about that. Coach Pitman kind of touched on that a little bit yesterday, and we will get into that coming up with Chuck in just a sec.
You know, fall camping season is here. It's been here for a few weeks. Hopefully this blast of cooler weather that's coming next week here in the Natural State doesn't stick around too long. We can get back to what we love. Leaves are changing. It's a great time to get by Razorback Camper Sales. They have a huge selection of travel trailers, fifth wheels, and pop-ups. Razorback Camper Sales has full prep and setup, and they don't charge any extra for that. So when you leave their lot, you can start camping immediately. Plus, they got a great parts and service department. They're the oldest family-owned RV dealer in Arkansas. They've been around for more than 50 years. So find out why customers are always happy campers at Razorback Camper Sales. Exit 1 off of the bypass in Hot Springs and online at razorbackcampersales.com.
Chuck, I know you got basketball this weekend, but does it feel a little weird not to be in Donald W. or a roadside at all this weekend?
Well, you know, it's always a little different during the open week. You know, it's the stuff during the week that's different because you don't have a game to get ready for. Like you say, there's going to be a basketball game Saturday, so there's going to be work to do, but it is a little bit different.
Chuck, Tommy and I were touching on this before the show. I mean, we have I talk to people that are my age. I talk to people that are Tommy's age, closer to your age, and you get kind of different responses. What kind of conversations have you had with fans this week about this weekend and maybe the priority that's going to be focused on what happens against Purdue?
Oh, I think people are excited about the game. I think they're just excited about the season beginning again, excited to see what, you know, Arkansas's got in terms of a basketball team. It's kind of like opening a Christmas package. And so I think from that standpoint, people are excited about it. It's an opportunity to go to Bud Walton Arena and watch Arkansas as a good team play another really good team. So it's not a regular season game, and people were excited about Texas last year, and didn't turn out so well. It's different this year because there's not a football game, and all the attention will be focused on the basketball game. And it's really being treated like a regular season game.
Yep.
But I think there's going to be a lot of people there.
Yep. And I you know, tomorrow we're going to go over some of the rule change. There's a significant rule change this year, and some are calling it the Jalen Williams rule, but they're going to change some things on block charge plays this year. And I know, Chuck, you've been a proponent for making some changes there, but there's some significant stuff going to be different, and we'll take a look at some of those tomorrow, and I think you're going to see that on display in the Purdue game.
Chuck, Tommy was giddy about it, man.
I'm not giddy about it.
He texted me this week. He was like, we got to talk about this.
Well, we do, because people need to know. People need to understand that when someone drives in the paint in what has been a player control foul for the last 4 or 5 years, it's not going to be that way on secondary defenders again, you know, like we've seen in the past.
Well, you're right, and I think it's something that perhaps will clean up the game. I don't know that people are going to the exhibition game to look for that, but I think that it's something that is going to be a byproduct of, you know, what they watch. It is going to be different, and I think people will grow accustomed to it as they go forward. I think it's a good rule change. But we're just going to have to see how it all plays out.
Well, you're trying to promote, again, getting to the basket, driving into the paint, and really Steph Curry is the one that changed the game of basketball with his just incredible shooting. So you got these kids starting in like elementary and middle school that think they can just jack it for 33, and there's less attacking it, and so they're trying to create rules that allow for rim action and stuff like that, because that's when it's exciting, not when teams take 53s a game or something like that. That's one of the reasons rules like this are put in place to help with that.
Well, they want to eliminate the collisions at the basket too. That's the thing that they want to clean it up in and around the rim to get more offensive points on the board, because this is still a sport that would like to see the scores at the end of the game go up. So we'll touch on that tomorrow. We'll spend a tremendous amount of time, but I think it's, a chance to inform people on something that's going to be a little bit different.
Well, you mentioned putting points on the board. I know Arkansas fans want to see some more points on the board in football next week. And, again, Arkansas has the advantage having this bye week, getting ready for Florida. Coach said yesterday they're starting that prep today.
We've done a lot of film work on them as well. Obviously, they haven't played their latest game coming up against Georgia, but it's been a good week. We're trying to get some guys healed up and things of that nature. And obviously with an offensive coordinator change, we're going through that as well.
Arkansas is 2-1 under Sam Pitman, including 2-0 the last 2 years coming off a bye. Guys, how much of an advantage of this heading into next weekend is it for Arkansas, especially the opponent that Florida has to battle with this weekend?
Well, it could be an advantage, may not be. You just don't know. I mean, all you can do coming off an open date is hope it's an advantage. Nobody ever says, man, our open dates come at a really bad time. And, when they come out of the open date, I've never heard a coach say that, I wish we'd played last week. So, it is what it is. How it's going to affect the game, we just don't know at this point. I think Arkansas's issue this week, quite honestly, if this was a normal week, the season's rolling along, you got a big game coming up, nobody's been fired during the week, might be, you might really enjoy having this week away. And not away, but away from the constant pressure of having to get ready for a game on Saturday. But given what's happened, there's been plenty to do this week. So I don't know if it's an advantage or a disadvantage. That's a long way of saying I'm not sure.
Yeah, you want to catch teams going into their bye. You want to be like Mississippi State last week and catch a team that's played 7 or 8 straight games and something of that nature, and catch them when they're probably the most weary. And, in theory, you should be the freshest. I don't know if Mississippi State was the best they've been. They were without their quarterback, and Marks, the running back, was banged up last week, but they've still found a way to win. So I think you always ought to play your best in-season ball at this point of the year coming off of a bye, because in theory you ought to be the most rested and the best you're going to be, at least physically, the rest of the way.
Well, I think, again, with this team, though, I think it's different. Yes, I think theoretically everything you're saying is right. But there's been, this has been a tumultuous week. And I'm not sure that this follows the regular routine. I don't know if it's going to be an advantage or not. Sometimes I think that's overplayed. I don't believe Mississippi State, for example, was better coming off their open week. I mean, their quarterback didn't get well. I mean, they got the running back well, but I don't think you could look at them and say, man, that week off really helped them. They won the game, but we'll just have to see.
I'm curious if Rocket Sanders plays next week, and I've had questions asked of me about his status and what he's going to set up. Coach again gave about an 8-second answer when asked about that on Monday. I mean, how much of a boost would he be if he was on the field for this football team next weekend, in addition, again, trying to some new things with Coach Guyon that I would guess they're going to implement?
Well, very candidly, no disrespect to Rocket, I think the overall offense is more important than what Rocket does. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Rocket's and a lot of it is because he's been hurt. But when you look at the way this season's unfolded, Rocket being there, Rocket not being there has not been the tipping point. It's just not. I hope he plays. I think they're better when he plays well. That's the thing. You want Rocket to play and be the old Rocket. And otherwise, he's just another guy out there, just to be blunt. And I hope he plays, but more than anything, I hope he's physically able to play well.
We had a chance to listen to KJ Jefferson on halftime this week. And, again, you're talking about the overall offense and kind of what his response it was when being asked about, hey, kind of getting back, what's the work again, was this.
Like I said, getting back to tempo, getting back to playing fast and doing the things that we're good at. I mean, so far in the past, tempo has been great to us, being able to put points up on the board and get up on defenses quickly and starting fast as well coming out. So I would like to see moving forward, us being able to boost the speed of the game up a little bit and try to catch defense in some bad situations and take advantage of it.
So we saw it against Ole Miss a little bit, saw it little more against Alabama, and I know the offense really didn't get anything rolling, but I think if they would have, we would have seen it more against Mississippi State. Guyton, I would guess, guys, is probably not going to go less of that, right? The expectation, I think, from at least my vantage point, is that we're going to see even more of that if at least they have offensive success next weekend.
More tempo, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. They've pretty much said that from the get-go, and if they're in positions to do that, I think they'd love to do it. Now, it doesn't mean if you've got after the opening kickoff, you start on your 18-yard line. Doesn't mean you go tempo right then. You've got to be, field position's got a lot to do with it. So, but yes, I think they would. I mean, as they've said, they would certainly like to do that.
So, what is that like in his shoes right now? So he's sitting here as the current, not technically interim offensive coordinator. He is calling plays and coaching quarterbacks when he's been the wide receivers coach. We know he's that. Coach Pitman, again, talked about this week. We'll play the audio coming up of him saying, given an opportunity, hope he has that discussion at the end of the year if it's success. I mean, I would think he's going gung-ho for this because he knows if there's success here, he could potentially be elevated to an OC role.
There's professional opportunity. I'm sure that's one of the things he's thought about. But my suspicion is right now, all these guys are just focused on getting ready to play Florida. Because what you're talking about, yes, I'm sure he's thought about it, but that doesn't happen unless you first have success against Florida. Because here's the thing. You can sit here and talk about we're going to change this, we're going to change that, we're going to go tempo, we're going to get back to doing what we do well. But if you don't go win at Florida, or if you don't go to Florida and have a good amount of offensive success, it's going to be hard to sell that the next week. So, I think it's important that Arkansas go to Florida and, more than anything, play with passion and play with renewed energy on the offensive side of the ball. As I said Monday before, we really delved into Guyton and all this stuff. What I saw Saturday was an offense that they were just there.
Yeah,
there was not a lot of passion there, and I think that's what we'll see restored pretty quickly.
I think players still, want to play in bowl games, still enjoy that trip. I don't know how the portal may have changed that. Maybe I'm off base, but you keep winning, you keep the hope at least of a bowl game alive. I think that helps you moving forward in your last three. You don't win this one, that comes off the table. I just don't know how that changes the mindset, Chuck, when you know what the score is, you know what the record is, you got to win them all the rest of the way.
Well, I think from a program perspective, it's important to go to a bowl game. Now, for some of these kids, let's be honest. We see it every year now. We get to bowl season, and there's always a question of who's going to play and who's not going to play. So I think it varies from team to team maybe and from player to player how much a bowl game means. That's a coach's job. That's a coach's job to sell the kids on the importance of their program playing in bowl games. Doesn't mean if you don't play in a bowl game, you're a failure. It just means that part of your job is to sell those kids on the fact that at the very minimum, we expect to go to a bowl game. That's what the standard needs to be, I think. I'm not saying that's the top standard. That's the bottom standard. We're going to a bowl game. We're going to get 6 wins, and where we're going depends on how many more we win after that. So it's important. I think it's important from a program perspective. But look, when a team's lost 6 in a row, the idea that we're going to sit here and say, yeah, they're going to win 4 straight, that's hoping right there. Mm-hmm. First thing you got to do is beat Florida. Pure and simple. You can't do it unless you win there.
Yeah. And that was what I was saying. If you beat Florida, you keep that hope alive. You don't, and that's off the table. Absolutely. If you don't, you're not bowl eligible anymore. And that's where people start, frankly, thinking about themselves and what's going to happen to them when the season's over. So as long as you've got that out there, hey, you beat Florida, I'd give them a pretty good shot to beat Auburn. Mm-hmm. I'd give them a pretty good shot to beat Auburn. And that's just what you've got to do. You've got to win, and then you've got to find a way to get it to carry over maybe the following week. Yeah. Hey, let me talk to you just a minute about Weicker Realtors, the Griffin Company. Now,
I talk to you about my experience, and I tell you about the real estate professionals that you're going to deal with. I'm going to talk about one today. I'm going to brag about one today. Her name's Heather Campbell. I'm going to tell you about Heather. She has 17 years of trust-building expertise. She represents some of the area's most elite builders, and she's got real knowledge of every neighborhood in Northwest Arkansas, every neighborhood for the clients that she serves. And when you're ready to sell your home, I can promise you Heather's knowledge and her marketing plan, not only efficient, but it's going to help you get top dollar. Here's why I know that. Heather was recognized as the top Weichert agent in the country in 2022. Top one in the country. So she's someone you can trust. She and Weichert Realtors, the Griffin Company, Fayetteville, Springdale, Bentonville, Fort Smith, Branson. You can always log on to WeichertGriffin.com.
So I saw this response about Caleb Williams this week, and they lose to Utah again. He's out of the Heisman Trophy race for a repeat. USC's out of the national championship hunt. Guys, there's some advocating that he should just hang it up for the rest of the season. Be done, be the number one pick in the draft, start preparing for that at that point. And I asked a couple former college players about this. I was like, is this something he should even consider? And they all were like, no. I mean, he'd lose respect in that locker room, team, and everything else. But when are we going to see someone do this that just quits mid-season or puts an injury at place? And I don't know if it's going to be close to home. I don't know if this is going to be more of a national story at first, but I would think we're pretty much on the brink of this happening at some point in time. It just hadn't necessarily happened just yet.
The same guy that also demanded ownership in a team that drafts him too. Golly.
I don't think he's going to quit. And I think the people that are advocating that when they say business decision, I don't think they understand what business is. You know, I was watching television last night, not a ball game, just watching television. I'll bet I saw Caleb Williams' Wendy's commercial 3 or 4 times during the span of about 2 or 3 hours. I don't know what his payout was on that, but I'm sure it was in excess of $1 million. And they don't pay money for athletes to be on their commercials when they're not playing. You know, when you talk about business, the business of being Caleb Williams goes beyond what happens on the field. But it's only because of what happens on the field. There's only 1 or 2 sports stars out there that aren't playing anymore that are still getting paid. I think it's Shaq and Michael Jordan. You know, otherwise, I didn't know NIL was going to turn into just raw pay for play. But the key word in pay for play is for. It's not pay and it's not play. It's for. You are paid for play. All these things that come, all these Wendy's commercials, these Dr. Pepper commercials, all this big money, the $1 million ads, they're not paying you to sit on your butt. You're of no value to them if you're not out there excelling on the field. A lot of these kids have this idea. They take the attitude that some of these pros have, well, it doesn't matter. I'm getting paid. Well, I got news for you, pal. You be average for about 4 or 5 Saturdays in a row, your value's going to drop. And the idea that a player could make a smart business decision, I think it was Jonathan Acho, whoever it was, that first said business decision. I'm like, well, pal, you don't know anything about business. Because the worst business decision Caleb Williams could make is to sit. The worst business decision he could ever make would be to sit. So I don't think he's going to sit. Anybody that advises him to doesn't understand how the game works.
I think we've already got a bunch of texts out that, from on the McCarty Daniel hotline. They pointed to Nick Smith Jr. and Rocket Sanders. Now, again, medical stuff is different than just sitting out the entire year. We don't know the ins and outs of everything that went on with Nick and what's going on with Rocket right now. But Tommy always brings up, and I think it's a fair point, with the culture that we live in today, you have more of a, hey, what's actually going on behind the scenes than you've ever done with injuries, I think.
Well, first off, neither Rocket's situation nor Nick Smith Jr.'s is comparable to Caleb Williams. Those guys weren't doing Wendy's commercials, fellas. I mean, not comparable. Both great players. Both of them have opportunities, I hope, to continue to make a lot of money. I noticed Nick Smith played 1 minute last night in his NBA debut. So, all these guys have great opportunities in front of them. But you're only paid. You're only valuable if you're good. You're only valuable if you're good. And a lot of these kids are going to find this out the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that may be making $500,000 as a freshman, if he's not any good by the time he's a junior, they ain't going to pay him $500,000 anymore. These kids have got to understand that, yes, you're getting compensated for your name, image, and likeness. You are, and you should be. But these guys that are making the real dollars, look at the pros out there over the years. The guys, I think about the guys I've watched over the course of my lifetime, the guys who were not only great players but also big-time earners, television, media, all the things that come with being a star. These guys were only able to do that because they performed at an optimum level year after year after year. Michael Jordan, Shaq, many, many others who continue to make money off what they did years ago. It was only because they were great. These kids that think they're just going to get this money and it's just going to flow from now till the end of time, a lot of them are in for a hard fall. And they have to understand that the money that they put in their pocket moving forward is going to be for play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be for good play. And they have to understand that, and I don't think many of them do.
Yeah. Let's hear from Jimmy in Conway on this. He's got some thoughts on the McCarty Daniel hotline. Welcome in, Jimmy.
Top of the morning to you.
Hey
Jimmy. Chuck, can you have that same conversation with KJ Jefferson? Because I think he needs it.
Well, I think they all. Look, this affects every team in America. Don't be naive. It affects every team in America.
Given his performance this year, do you think he would take a major pay cut if he came back next year? Thanks, guys.
No, I don't.
That's a fair question, and the answer is no.
I don't think he would. No.
I think I've said this. I think what ultimately is going to happen with KJ is he'll transfer after this year. I have no inside knowledge on that. I don't even know if I'd call it an educated guess, but that's just where my mind is.
Well,
at this point in time.
that's become a popular thought among people. I don't know if there's any truth to it or not. Just to be honest with you, and I was not talking about KJ. I was speaking very, very generally there.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we started talking about Caleb Williams, just to be honest. But I think his situation kind of magnifies the fact that, this idea that as a college player that you can sit games out and that will enhance your value, it decreases your value. When you do that, you're only valuable to somebody who's paying you money to endorse their product if you're out there front and center.
They just see a limit of risk because they see playing as a risk of injury and spoiling pro football money. And I think you're right. You're letting your team down, but you're also limiting opportunity to increase your value when you're not on the field.
Well, I think there's a question that needs to be asked in there that you kind of brought up, Chuck, and Jimmy kind of alluded to it as well. So if a guy has a bad season, like let's say he's making, $200,000 1 year, he has a bad season, he's not going to get paid less next year, right? Or he's not going to accept, his agent's not going to allow him to accept less, even though, again, market value might go down technically because he's not that same player he was the year before or expected to be.
I don't know exactly how it all works. I won't claim to, but I find it very, very difficult to believe that, if you have a guy as a player 1 year making a certain amount of money and he doesn't play well for 2 years, I can't imagine he's going to be making the same amount in that third year. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't imagine it.
That's kind of how life works. The better you do, the more you make. The worse you do, the less you make. That's just That's kind of true. Hey, one thing we can do, boys, if we get some of that NIL money rolling our way, is we can go over to Burton Pools and Spas. The warehouse sale is going on. We can get us a hot spring spa. The world's best-selling brands are at Burton Pools and Spas in Springdale and at Fort Smith. They're in stock, ready to deliver, and more importantly, they're on sale right now. Up to $4,900 off with easy financing, with payments starting as low as $80 a month right now during this special event. So hurry to the hot tub warehouse sale. It's right now at Burton Pools and Spas, Springdale, and in Fort Smith, and online at burtonpools.com.
We'll talk more Arkansas football with Sam Pitman, plus touch on some basketball next.
The best selection of RVs is now even better at Wheels RV in Springdale. Wheels RV.
Video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Call or text the McClarty Daniel hotline at 877-377-6963. McClarty Daniel, a vehicle for every lifestyle.
When you're looking for a new car, you want to shop for a vehicle you love with an organization you trust. You've probably heard that McClarty Daniel means making deals, but what I'm inspired by the most is that McClarty Daniel means making a difference in our community. When you buy a vehicle with McClarty Daniel, you reinvest right here in the community, in our schools, in our little leagues, in our food banks, and our people. So you're not just making a purchase, you're making a difference too. Come see us at any of our 6 locations in Northwest Arkansas.
Tommy Kraft here. When it came time for new gates and some fence repairs at my home, the Fence Man was my first call. The Fence Man does it all, from large commercial jobs to small residential repairs. Wood privacy fence, vinyl fence, commercial or residential chain link, even custom wrought iron fencing. 479-782-3936. 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit is now available. If it involves fencing, the Fence Man does it. The Fence Man. He ain't afraid of no work. 479-782-3936.
A dandy white perch. Big old slab. C'est bon, sacalé.
One beautiful crappie.
It's a paper mouse.
Some serious crappie.
Nice speck.
We got crappie.
They might go by different names, but all prefer the same thing. Bobby Garland, America's favorite white perch, slab, sacalé, paper mouth, crappie, speck, crappie baits.
I call it dinner.
Rockwell and Orwell are both known for their work from 1984. It's no conspiracy that somebody's watching me, because the terms and agreements that no one reads is the reason there's no privacy. Big tech is tracking every move you make and is starting to control society and how you participate. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and Revelation 13 describes a mark for those who fall for this utopian dream. I'm Pastor Eve from Woodland. Read about it.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.
Looking for an African adventure without the hassle of planning? Kruger Safari Club has got you covered. Our custom hunting and safari packages take care of everything from transportation to accommodations, so you can focus on enjoying the experience of a lifetime. With our team's extensive knowledge of the best hunting and safari spots in South Africa, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe, you'll have access to some of the most breathtaking views and exciting game hunting opportunities on the planet. And with our commitment to ethical hunting and giving back to the local community, you'll know that your trip with us is making a positive impact. Book your trip now and let us take care of the rest. Find out more at KrugerSafariClub.com.
Are you looking for the best Razorbacks insight and analysis?
Hell yes.
How about listening to an Arkansas football legend?
Matt Jones
All he does is make big plays.
What's the voice of the Hogs have to say?
Hey, what a great crowd last night.
Don't forget about the Omahogs.
The Hogs are going to Omaha.
Matt Jones, Chuck Barrett, and Phil Elson, the best in the business on the Hit That Line Podcast Network. Go to hitthatline.com or search Hit That Line wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share.
You understand what coverage you need.
Call Ted McAvoy in Van Buren or Chris Dooley in Fort Smith.
I want barbecue that's sliced thick, smoked long, and so tender it melts in your mouth. Sides that will fill me up like a twice-baked potato, baked beans, hand-cut fries, okra, Texas toast. You know what I'm talking about? A restaurant where the whole family can go and get a great meal for a great price. Where the owner actually comes to your table to make sure everything tastes great. I'll tell you what I want. I want Jerry Neal's.
And we're back with the action. Coke Zero Sugar might be the best Coke ever.
That's right, Jim. With an irresistible taste and zero sugar, Coke Zero Sugar is a must-try for any sports fan. So make sure you... Wait, Jim, I didn't mean try it right now. We're still on the air.
Best Coke ever? Take a taste, Jen.
Really?
No, not right now, Jen. We got a game to call.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
For today, mainly cloudy skies, a chance of scattered showers. Our high temperatures today in the mid to upper 70s. Showers with some thunderstorms likely tonight. An overnight low in the mid to upper 60s. And then some scattered showers and some thunderstorms in the mix for Friday. Highs near 80. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
The weather is brought to you by Come Get You Some, Arkansas's premier off-road superstore. Call 782-MUD today. You're listening to The Morning Rush, live from the Busch Light Studios on ESPN 95.3, KERX Paris Fort Smith.
I think the kids are excited. Again, that's no negative towards Coach Enos. It's just, I think they're excited. Obviously, when things have been difficult, one of the answers is change. The other answer, obviously, is to get better at what you're doing and those things. And we've tried that, and I feel like the kids feel like there is opportunity there for new life, maybe, or whatever you want to say. But we weren't doing what our offense, we weren't doing it well. The only way I knew how to do it was try to change it. And certainly the kids have bought into that real well over the last 2 days.
Hey, this is Darren McFadden. You're listening to The Morning Rush.
Live from the Busch Light Studios. Heard all across ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
Hit that line.
This is The Morning Rush with Ty Richardson, Tommy Kraft, and Chuck Barrett.
You're in need of a serious attitude adjustment, young man. You better get your priorities straight.
Produced by Christian Johnston.
In spite of the juvenile snickers of some, this is a serious matter.
Call or text The Morning Rush on the McClarty-Daniel hotline. With 6 locations in Springdale and Bentonville, a good deal is never too far away.
You don't need to wear a ball cap, man. You need to let those golden locks flow.
Yes, sir.
Coach spoke to kind of simplifying the offense and cutting down the playbook this week. You just heard him there talking about Kenny Guy and what he hopes to inspire within the football team. I want to address again that cutting down the playbook aspect, and we'll do that coming up in hour 2 here, Tommy.
Hey, it's Throwback Thursday at Joe's Grill and Cantina. They're trying to make the middle of the weeks better. They got Nacho Average Wednesday yesterday. Tuesdays is always Taco Tuesday. But on Throwback Thursdays, they bring back some of the old Cuco's platters that made them famous. They'll have one again today on special. You can check that out at Joe's Grill and Cantina. And with all the games still to come, with 4 football games and a basketball season that's about to get underway, don't forget Joe's is the place to watch all your favorite games and to watch the Razorbacks play. During every Hog game, they got half-price apps and taps for you to enjoy. Joe's Grill and Cantina, 3400 South 74th Street across from Harps in Fort Smith. Find them on Facebook for all of their daily specials.
Chuck, I know you and I were watching the SEC Network the other night when former Auburn linebacker Takeo Spikes was touching on the idea of cutting down the playbook, talking to KJ. Well, this is what Coach said in regards to what he was talking about yesterday.
We went to our most efficient runs, what they may be, and then we looked at, does that fit what Florida's doing, like you would any weekly game plan. Certainly have talked to the quarterbacks about KJ specifically about what he feels good about running in the offense, about his throws, about his potential to run. And then we obviously have to take into consideration our offensive line, what we can do and what we're not doing well. And if we're not doing it well, it doesn't matter what your design of the play with. If we can't block it, then it's not going to have success. So we've obviously done a lot of soul searching inside, trying to find out how we can be a efficient offense, and we'll continue to work on that as we go forward.
Tommy, you touched on the success they had at points during the Ole Miss and Alabama game, especially the Alabama game, and maybe finding some stuff there. The question that Chuck in Fayetteville has this morning on the McCarty-Daniel hotline is, if you're going to simplify the offense, doesn't it make it easier on the defense to game plan for you and against you and during the course of that game if you're running less stuff?
Not if you block it up right. This is, this is one of those weeks where this is really all we have to talk about, I guess, is are they going to simplify the offense and are they going to go faster? No, I don't think it affects the defense's preparation at all.
No, I think what they're doing is, what are we most efficient at? What are we most effective at? And trying to eliminate the things they just simply can't do. And, coaches talked about this. This doesn't change the offensive line, removing Dan Enos from the equation. They've still got to be better, but it's not just there. So, just changing coaches or limiting the playbook's not going to mean that you can block their defensive end any better.
Well, you mentioned, again, rolling the pocket and stuff. Another aspect, he felt like they were just sitting there too much, and here's what he said about that.
Maybe we aren't a pocket protection team. We ran it, I don't know, probably averaged 8 to 10 dropbacks a game in the previous 3 years, maybe a little bit more when Felipe Franks was here. It's just our quarterback wasn't great at just sitting in the pocket. Our wideouts weren't getting open. We couldn't protect a lot of things. Maybe that's part of it, but I just think everything was hard for us. Everything very difficult. 3 yards was difficult. And I don't know exactly why, because Dan's a fine coach. So I can't really put my finger on it, but I do know that we lost our spirit.
And he said something there that we've said on this program before, that even when the offense scored touchdowns or got field goals, it was hard for them. It seemed like every single play moving up and down the field.
No doubt. That was one of the things I remember even from the LSU game, was that Arkansas had to work a lot harder for their points than LSU did, or so it seemed.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's changed. That's changed. Other teams are having to work hard to get their points now, but Arkansas is having to work harder.
Yeah, and I'm encouraged by the fact that they are involving KJ into it. A lot of times the quarterback does get a say, but sometimes you don't. And I think this is a time where KJ's got to be brought into those meeting rooms. KJ has to be included. He has to be bought in all of this, and vice versa. So, I like the things Coach is talking about that's kind of going on behind the scenes. A lot of times you don't get that peek behind the curtain, Chuck.
Well, look, this is we're just going to have to see how this plays out. We can talk about this till we're blue in the face. But, what some of them have said, and I think it's true, is that, there is a reset. There is a reset when something like this happens. There's going to be somewhat of a reset after an open date anyway. But particularly given what's happened the last 3 or 4 days, there is a major reset. But to sit here and say that, hey, if they go a little bit faster, if they simplify their playbook, everything's going to be okay, that's a simplistic view. And I think that, there are certain things they've done well, and there are certain things they haven't done well, but they've lost 6 in a row, guys. So, they are what they are, and I don't think just going a little bit faster is going to suddenly turn everything around. So
it's not that simple, Chuck.
It would be nice if it was.
Yeah.
Hey, if they win 4 in a row going fast, everybody's going to say, well, how come they didn't do it sooner? And I guess that's a valid question if it happens.
Yeah.
But we're a long way from that happening.
Let's talk to Nelson, who's in Harrison this morning on the McCarty-Daniel hotline. Nelson, welcome in.
Hey, guys. Good morning to you. I got one thing to I just want to say something here. And, Chuck, I'm not saying that I disagree with you, but whenever you got a quarterback that sabotages the game against the worst team in the league, like KJ did Saturday, That's not going to help your NIL. And KJ was not in that game Saturday, and he was not interested in being in that game Saturday because he didn't believe in the offense. And just like Nick Saban did with Milroe against South Florida, if Sam Pitman would have been man enough to tell KJ, hey, NIL, the biggest stud on the whole field or whatever, we can put you on the bench, then a little bit earlier this year, we might have been a little better off. But I want to say this, guys. We're still outscoring our opponents, and that's what one of the guys on halftime said, that we're outscoring our opponents for the year. Just we're 6 plays separating wins and losses. I mean, we're 6 points separating wins and losses. And I don't think, guys, going faster and this change in offense is going to get KJ to finding receivers that are running wide open. We haven't been that far away from winning. Now, if I could see if we was 20 points away from winning, how that maybe the offensive change could change. But KJ's got to find receivers, and he's got to make the reads, and they got to block it up right. If they don't do that, I mean, it ain't going to change. And anyone that thinks it is probably just dreaming. But thanks a lot, guys, and I'll listen.
Okay. Nelson, you make several points. I mean, first off, believing in the offense and NIL, those are entirely different issues there. Whether or not you change quarterbacks, that's even a third issue. I don't think KJ sabotaged the game. I don't think he went out there with the idea, hey, I'm going to sabotage the game today. I don't think that happened. I think it's unfair, frankly, to put all the blame on KJ. Now, does he shoulder some of it? Sure, just like the rest of them do. It's a situation where we have become accustomed to looking to KJ to make everything okay. When everything else breaks down, KJ's going to make it okay. And when he doesn't, we tend to wonder what's wrong with KJ. Now, the one thing that I will say, and what I hear from Nelson when he starts talking about NIL, and I'm not speaking of KJ necessarily, but KJ's the biggest star Arkansas has. Mm-hmm. There are other big stars in college sports. We were talking about Caleb Williams a minute ago. I wondered how long it would take before fans would equate performance with NIL. And I think we are seeing that over the course of this season, not just here but in other places. When fans look at college players, they begin to look at them like pro players, and they weigh their performance versus their compensation, and they decide whether they like the guy based on that. I think that's one of the unfortunate byproducts of the NIL. It's a natural byproduct, totally unavoidable. But I do think that we have reached a point where when a guy doesn't perform, the first thing people are going to say, well, he's already getting paid.
Well, and wait till those NIL agreements become more public. Right now,
That's
just hear the rumor.
That's going to shock people.
Yeah.
That's going to shock people.
You just hear the rumor of what KJ's making. You hear the rumors of what. Wait till that becomes public and people really know how much money these guys are making.
In June of 2022, Brian Day, he didn't intend for this to be publicized. He was speaking to a group of Ohio State boosters, business people in Columbus. He said it's going to take $13 million to keep our roster intact. A 5-star quarterback is going to cost $2 million. A 5-star rush edge end on the defensive side or a 5-star offensive tackle is going to cost you about $1 million a year. He said that not quite 18 months ago. And I remember reading it, and I thought he's out of his mind. And I look at it now, and he was damn near a prophet. And I'm going to tell you, when this stuff becomes public, it is going to send shockwaves through the sporting public in America. It is going to send shockwaves. And unfortunately, when teams don't win, fans are going to start turning their ire toward the player as much as the coach, because they're going to know how much they're making. Mm-hmm. And nobody thought about this when they brought this thing. I've always been for pay for play. just so we understand one another. I've always been for the players being compensated. I never imagined it would turn into what it's turned into.
So on that note that you're just talking about, do fans have a right to put more blame or be angrier with players because they're getting paid nowadays? I think that's a question that has kind of stemmed with this as it's gone down the last
If you're
couple
one
years.
of those given the money, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. If
Most
you're
are.
one of the ones, it's no different than asking a booster to contribute to your overall program. If you're good, they're going to give. If you're not any good, they're not going to.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it works. All right, we'll put a pin in it there and come back with more. We're brought to you by the Inn at the Mill. We've been talking about the basketball season coming up. Now's the time to make your reservations and get your plans in order. And stay at the Inn at the Mill when you're coming to see the Hogs play, or maybe you're going to a concert at the Amp or a weekend trip to Crystal Bridges. Holiday shopping coming up. There's always great restaurants right around the Inn at the Mill as well. It's right in the heart of Northwest Arkansas. It's the Johnson exit. That's exit 69 off I-49, so you're close to everything, including everything on campus as well. 479-443-1800. It's where we stay when we're in Northwest Arkansas needing a place for the night. The Inn at the Mill, you'll love the oversized rooms, the historic property, and the great location. 479-443-1800 or online at innatthemill.com.
We'll get to our Morning Rush Daily Question and Tom Murphy when we come back.
Listen to that last segment, I promise you, it sounded like I walked into a barbershop and listened to two old men just go at it. That was great.
You're listening to the Morning Rush.
The best selection of RVs is now even better at Wheels RV in Springdale. Wheels RV has added Brinkley RVs to the already loaded lineup of Grand Design and Forest River products. See the Brinkley Model Z, the latest innovation in luxury fifth wheels. And like always, every new RV comes with a lifetime warranty, so you can camp with confidence. So stop in and find out why Wheels has been voted best RV dealer year after year. Wheels RV, 5 miles west of exit 72 off of I-49 in Springdale. Seek, explore, discover with Wheels RV.
This is the Morning Rush.
Great to be on here with you guys. I think you guys do awesome work, and I really enjoy listening to you.
The biggest and best selection of 2023 GMCs are at Harry Robinson Buick GMC. Get financing as low as 1.9% with approved credit and $500 in loyalty cash back on 23 GMC Terrain. If you own a 2009 or newer Buick or GMC, conquer with confidence in a 2023 GMC Terrain from Harry Robinson Buick GMC. We are professional grade. Harry Robinson Buick GMC. Exit 11 off of I-540 in Fort Smith and online at harryrobinson.com.
Bet Saracen is Arkansas's #1 mobile app for placing sports wagers.
In Arkansas, 7 out of every $10 placed on a sporting bet app is with Bet Saracen, because Bet Saracen offers more ways to win and more ways to get paid, and faster. Find your winners on Bet Saracen and look for my R prop bet specials. I pick them and you win them.
Bet Saracen is Arkansas's favorite sports wagering app.
Gambling problem? Call 800-522-4700.
Sometimes I'm in a hurry. Stay in the slow lane, buddy. That's when I use the Sodies app to order my favorites and pick up in their drive-thru. They even offer a 10% discount on your first app order. Experience different at Sodies Wine and Spirits off I-540 on Phoenix Avenue.
Every day is worth celebrating at Uncorked. Cocktails, wine, craft beer, bourbons, and unbelievably great food. Uncorked on Phoenix Avenue next to Sodies.
The Golf Nut has been Fort Smith's #1 golf shop since 1994. Needing help with your game? Call Matt Brooks with over 10 years of experience in the golf industry. Call him today at 646-4430 and schedule a lesson using the simulator. The best selections of clubs like Callaway Paradigm, TaylorMade Stealth 2, and Peen G430, along with a wide assortment of shoes, apparel, and golf bags. The Golf Nut, 5121 Towson Avenue in Fort Smith, your one-stop shop for everything golf.
If you knew all that Jody's Auto Service Centers can do for your vehicle and you'd never take your vehicle anywhere else.
My fleet is small, 14 trucks and cars. It's a struggle every day with parts, employees, and scheduling, but one thing I never worry about is vehicles. Jody's has special fleet pricing, special in and out service, or free shuttle and pickup and delivery service. And they do everything: service, repair, and maintenance. That makes my life much easier. All my vehicles go to Jody's.
Latest technology and highly trained technicians means we can do it all. From the most highly technical repairs to everyday oil change specials. tires, everything, even diesels. Jody'sAuto.com. Schedule free shuttle service or pickup and delivery. Get a tire quote. Get financing. Jody's Auto Service Centers, voted best of the best by our customers year after year. We're your neighbors since 1984 with 3 full-service locations in Fort Smith and Van Buren. See for yourself at JODYSauto.com.
Was your roof damaged by recent storms? Don't fall victim to out-of-town contractors and fly-by-night repairmen. Trust the local roofing professionals at Able Roofing. Call their local number, 474-0006, for a free roof inspection. Never trust something as important as the roofing system on your home to a storm chaser. Able Roofing, 474-0006, will work with your insurance company. Call now for your free roof inspection, 474-0006. Able Roofing, the hometown roofers.
Hey hunters, it's time to get ready for black powder season at Jelco Outdoors. Muzzle loaders by CVA and Traditions. Be sure and check out the new Nitrofire rifles by Traditions. Primers, bullets, cleaning supplies, hunting boots and clothing, hunter's orange caps, vests and jackets, cover scents, deer lure attractants, ground blinds, tree stands, game processing equipment, warm clothing for cool fall mornings for men, women, and children. Good luck and stay safe from your friends at Jelco Outdoors. Remember, a great hunt begins at Jelco Outdoors.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3. It's time for the Red River Dodge Morning Rush Daily Question. Red River Dodge in Heber Springs, Arkansas's #1 Ram dealer. Log on at redriverdodge.com.
Your Honor, I'd like to ask for a recess. I'd like an answer to the question, Judge.
The court will wait for an answer.
So we talked about the Michigan stuff going on this week where allegedly a staffer went to several different games and was recording signals, relaying the message to Michigan on the sidelines when they played that said opponents. Pretty big college football story. Guys, is this just a big deal because Michigan's doing it? Do you care at all? Like if Alabama or Georgia or someone within the SEC West was doing LSU, I'd want the death penalty, to be honest. Wouldn't get it, but I'd want it. There are people in the Big Ten that are furious about this. Not as big of a deal down here in the SEC. Is this a big deal that they are doing this? That they did or allegedly did this, in y'all's opinion?
Well, I think it is. I think it's something that goes to something that's frankly easy for people to understand. They were cheating, you know. Now, I'm not naive. I know that sign stealing's a big part of the game. Most of the time, though, that comes through legitimate film study as opposed to what they're talking about doing. You know, I was reading a report in Football Scoop, which, by the way, I think is, generally speaking, if it's in Football Scoop, it's pretty true because it's a lot of coaches and such that are on this site. There's a report on there now saying that they scouted Tennessee a couple of years, I guess last year, when they thought Tennessee might be in the playoff. They scouted them. They went to their games. They made photographs. And then they shared all their information with South Carolina.
I remember hearing that, yeah.
And, you know, South Carolina, if you go back, according to the people who've studied it, I haven't, but according to the people who've studied it, if you go back and you watch that game, that theory becomes believable. It sounds like they've obviously been caught, is the bottom line. Whether or not they're the only ones doing it, I don't know, but they've been caught.
And we wonder why paranoia is rampant in the coaching business and rampant in the coaching community. It's stories like these that you think, oh, that's outlandish. They wouldn't do that. Well, you know, it's being talked about because it's happened. This is why coaches are paranoid about everything. To me, Ty, it's not the sign stealing. It's not the signal stealing. Like Chuck said, you can watch film. You can pay close attention. Card counting is not illegal, but they frown upon it in Vegas. But what is illegal is when you send people to someone else's stadium in the season. And that to me is the greater crime, is you directly broke a rule you knew was wrong, and that's in-person scouting. You can't go as far as Michigan went.
One of the other intriguing.
There's no gray area there.
No,
I mean, this isn't a bump at an airport or something like that. I mean, this is the real deal here.
No one got an extra piece of pie at the banquet. You know, this isn't some stupid rule. This is one that's been long-term in place.
So there's an NCAA bylaw, like even if Jim Harbaugh claims that he didn't know about this because this is one of his assistant coaches, he is still going to get repercussions if they find this to be true, if they find more evidence of this at this point. He can't take
I do think, though, you said something a minute ago about is this because this is Michigan? I do think there's a get Jim Harbaugh aspect to this story.
Yes.
I do think that. But I don't think that makes what they did okay. They've been caught, and because it's Harbaugh, a lot of people are zeroing in the way they would not for someone else, but it doesn't take away from the fact that they did it and they got caught.
And they've been winning. And they've been to the college football playoff.
Well, right.
If they were a team that had a 500 record, we'd be making fun of the fact that they cheated and still didn't win.
They need to do a better job of cheating.
Right. But the fact that they cheated and they got the benefit of it in some people's mind that they have been to the playoff. They have won big games against Ohio State recently. They've elevated their program. That makes the anger a little bit greater within the Big Ten area.
Well, I also think, too, you can't ignore the aspect that Michigan is one of the pillars of college football.
Yes.
I mean, they are one of the pillars. You could make a very, very strong argument that they have been for the better part of a century one of the top 5 college football programs in America. You could make that argument with a straight face and win that argument most of the time. And that does have some added emphasis, I think, as a result of that. That brings an added amount of emphasis.
Before we get to Tom, I know y'all want to know what Dion thinks about this. He got asked about it. Here's what he said.
Everyone's trying to get an edge. I mean, everyone's trying to get whatever edge they can. You could have someone's whole game plan. They could mail it to you. You still got to stop it. So in football, it's not as pronounced as baseball. If I know a curveball is coming, I got you. With football, I don't give a darn if you know a sweep is coming. You still got to stop it.
That's exactly right. And it goes back to the the question a caller asked a little bit earlier. Does reducing the offense make it easier on the defense? No, it does not. Football, and he made a great point. In baseball, it's different, man. I mean, that's a game of guessing right there at the plate. If you know what's coming, it's a bigger advantage in baseball than probably any other sport.
Yeah. But you want to know, you want to equate it some. Ask Tom here in just a second, Ty, how he feels about plagiarism, because that'd be kind of the equivalent in his business to what sign stealing is to some in the sports business. So, all right, that's your Red River Dodge Morning Rush Daily Question. It is brought to you by Red River Dodge in Heber Springs, Arkansas's #1 Ram dealer. Log on at redriverdodge.com.
This hour of Chuck Barrett on the Morning Rush is presented by V's Barbershop with 2 locations in Rogers and Bentonville. Visit V's Barbershop online at vbarbershop.com or in person and see why V's is a cut above the rest.
Well, Tom, I'll just segue that to what Tommy just asked you. We were talking about the things that's going on with Michigan right now. Big Ten schools, coaches frustrated with what the Wolverines allegedly did. And kind of to tie that in, you'd be mad if someone was plagiarizing your work and saying it was their own, correct?
Yeah, no question about that. And as I heard you guys talking, a lot of thoughts ran through my head. And among them are that people were aware that it was happening, because what they did is they documented all the flights and what the plan was for the rest of the year. So I think there was an in-network in the Big Ten that they were aware it was happening, and they're like, okay, they're doing this, but what we're going to do is we're going to talk amongst ourselves and get details, the ticket purchases and all this at each of these schools. So it's not just they're just saying this. It was like we're gonna set up the conspiracy here, basically. And I haven't done a deep dive, but I've read enough on this to see that it looked like people were aware of it and set up a lot of information to turn over to the authorities. And this poor kid, he looks like he was neck deep in this, but someone's also coordinating buying the tickets and what have you. So it's going to wind up being I think there's going to be some type of punishment level that makes other schools think long and hard about trying to set up some kind of deal like this again.
You think Harbaugh's coaching in Ann Arbor next year, Tom?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one. I mean, and as Chuck was pointing out with you guys a minute ago, I do believe that there's a kind of get Jim Harbaugh thing because of the way he conducts himself. But, this is we've never seen anything to this scope. So, I don't know. It's probably 50-50 on that.
Yeah. Tom Murphy with us on the McClarty Daniel Hotline. It's been a week of change around this football program, Tom. Kenny Guyton taking over as play caller and coordinator, going to work with the quarterbacks. Got someone else working with wide receivers now. Just, as the weeks unfolded, has your thoughts changed about where this offense is headed moving into the Florida game next week?
Well, I do hope that they do winnow down to the things that they feel like they do the best, that the team's a little bit more motivated to play, and, that Kenny Guyton can find some buttons to push that it was baffling to me that Sam Pitman would say they would practice rolling the pocket, and I think they did it a little bit in the LSU game, but in that last game, Mississippi State ran its twists, and the attack point was behind center 6 or 7 yards almost every play. And you could see KJ probably is looking down at the rush a good bit now, which takes his eyes away from – I mean, there was one play where Tyrone Broden was running across the middle by about 15, 20 yards deep, and no one was even close to him. That if he can just see it, he can hit it. And so I used the word constipated with you guys about 2 weeks ago, and – It looked that bad and worse on Saturday. And here's the thing. There's been a couple of games where they've converted third downs. I mean, their third down conversion rate's not horrible. But there's been a couple of games like LSU and even Bama where they move the ball. So, but I do get Sam Pittman's point that if the players you don't get the sense that they're ready to run through a wall for you, that there's something the matter. And hopefully these last 4 games they can finish with some type of offensive flourish.
So, Tom, through all of the pain of the constipation, as you described it, with the offense, I'm really impressed with how Travis Williams has kept this defense playing at the level it has. How has he managed to keep that side of the ball at such a high level while watching their counterparts just be ineffective in most possessions?
Yeah, great question. And unfortunately for them, they've been underplayed because of they're people, when you lose, people point out what's wrong. And I've tried to write about it on the weekly that, the stats are pretty good. The stats are a ton better than they were last year. They're sacking people. And I just think that they came in with fresh ideas, that Travis Williams is a positive coach. I mean, they get coached hard, but they get loved up too. And when I hear him and Marcus Woodson talk, you're hearing caring guys that know football. And I don't think enough can be said of the quick turnaround because, other than Hudson Clark and Dwight McLaughlin, this has been almost a wholesale change in personnel from a unit that did not cover the pass well at all last year. I hope to see McLaughlin back here in the last 4 games, but they've gotten, they've discovered more depth at linebacker, and the D line, the guys they added on have been, they don't have a Drew Sanders among the bunch on the front 7, but all told, the group has done really well.
Tom Murphy with us here on the McClarty Daniel Hotline. Tom, you speak of defense. Arkansas basketball is going to have to play some good defense Saturday afternoon against Zach Edey and Purdue. What do you think about that matchup? And it doesn't sound like that Jalen Graham is necessarily going to be able to help this team based on his back spasms this week.
Right, yeah. Well, it looks to me like you'll have to rotate guys on him, give him different looks, front him sometimes, bracket him. Just do different things, and Musselman and the staff are going to be well prepared to do that. Do wish this was an in-season game, because when you think back to that Texas exhibition, it seems like a lot of that was like, hey, guys, this is how far we got to come, almost like a warning signal. And I don't know if it would have been that badly if it would have been an in-season game. So it's just going to be fun to see how they defend Edey, how they come at him offensively. You know, we were talking to Trayvon Mark, and he's like, you got to know he's there, and like floaters become more of a part of your game plan instead of getting all the way in there. And if you do, you know, go into his body and stuff like that. So it's going to be a fun, high level. I mean, an exhibition game at Arkansas is creating a ton of interest, and that's a really cool thing that I don't know if you could have said much over the past 25 years.
I know he got named to a watch list for the Jerry West Award. This team is really put together differently than Muss's previous teams. How much quicker do you think they can gel based on it's either 8 or 9 seniors on this roster?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure if I'm, suited to answer it other than it feels like they're recruiting guys who understand they're going to get taught well, they're going to get shown NBA-style systems and offense and defense and all this stuff, and they care about the game enough that they will buy in. I mean, this is going around the industry, you guys, and so that's why they get the guys they get. And so the chances for them to gel and kind of show what their maximum capabilities are early, I think, are good.
Tom, good stuff. Enjoy the bye weekend, and we'll catch up next Tuesday.
Outstanding. Y'all have a great weekend.
All right, Tom Murphy with us on the McClarty Daniel Hotline, going to enjoy a weekend away from football. And I can tell you, while the players and coaches enjoy it, those that cover the team week to week, and no one works harder than Tom, probably enjoys a Saturday free, Chuck.
I'm sure he will. I don't know if he's covering the basketball game or not. You know, he made a point about the defense I want to talk about just for a second. Travis Williams and Marcus Woodson are a couple of really impressive guys.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first conversation I had with Marcus Woodson. Some people you talk to and you just know they're good at what they do. You know, they're good at everything they do. And he was one of those guys. But here's the biggest thing. There's more players. There's more depth. You look at the defensive side of the ball. You look at what's happened this year. They survived Pooh Paul being injured. You know, I mean, they continue to play well. They've had injuries in the defensive backfield. Dwight McLaughlin's not played a whole lot over the last month. You know, there's been no appreciable drop-off. Braxton didn't play in a game. They found a way to play well on the defensive side of the ball. You're as good as your line of scrimmage on whichever side of the ball you're talking about. You look at Arkansas's defensive line right now. Tom's right. There may not be a game wrecker, so to speak, but they're too deep. They're too deep all across the line. They're too deep, and there's not a lot of drop off. Sometimes you don't even notice who's out there, because they're almost interchangeable parts. And I think that's one of the things on defense too that's got to be looked at. There's more depth on the defensive side of the ball right now than there's certainly been over the last decade. And that's what's frustrating right now. And Clay brought this up the other day on one of the shows, and he's right. It has taken Arkansas so long, I mean so long, just to get to the middle of the pack on the defensive side of the ball. You look at our 30-something year history in the SEC. How many times have we been legit on that side of the ball? You can count them on one hand. The years we've been legit on the defensive side of the ball. They're legit on that side. They got legit depth. They got players. They got guys who are going to be pros. And that's what's frustrating is it's just not matched up on the other side. And sometimes you get years like that. It'd be nice to have a year where it's all together. For example, you put this year's defense on last year's team, and they ain't playing in Memphis. I can tell you that. I'm certain of that part. And let me pause just for a second and tell you about V's Barbershop. If you want to look good this weekend, V's Barbershop is the name to remember. And, the thing about V's, I've said this before, but it's so true. They do combine the best of the new with the old. If you're one of those who just likes to escape, get in your chair, got your TV right there, you can watch ESPN, you just kind of step away for a little bit. That opportunity's there. If you're one of those who remembers when going to the barbershop was a ritual, and it just smelled a little bit different when you walked in. You smelled that leather. And, you saw the barber over there with a straight edge razor and the hot leather and the way they did it when you were a kid. That's how they do it at V's Barbershop. So you're going to get a very unique experience when you walk in. They're glad to service all ages. Beards are a big deal. They've got deluxe beard trims. They'll have you looking sharp. They've got 2 locations in Northwest Arkansas. They're on Southwest 14th Street in Bentonville, and they're in the Pleasant Crossing Shopping Center in Rogers. 2 locations in Little Rock, Cantrell Road, and Chenal Parkway. And you can always log on to vbarbershop.com.
All right, we're going to get into our hog update coming up, including talking about some pro hogs that made their debuts, including Anthony Black last night.
Speaking of pro hogs, I was looking here on the Bet Saracen app and looking at Dallas this weekend. They are a 6-point favorite taking on the Rams at home, so you can get all the lines this morning at the Bet Saracen app and get ready for a full weekend of the NFL. Great place to watch the games this weekend would be at Gaston's White River Resort. We've been talking about the holidays coming up and a great time to slip off maybe with family and friends. Long holiday weekends around Thanksgiving, that time between Christmas and New Year's. Now's the time to call and make those reservations. Get that perfect cabin or lodge, fireplace. They'll continue to bring all the firewood you need right to the door of your cabin, and you and your family can really enjoy a great weekend away. Book a guided fishing trip on the White River and see what it's all about at Gaston's White River Resort. 870-431-5202. Gaston's, a first-class time every time.
Find us on 99.5 in Northwest Arkansas, 95.3 in Fort Smith in the River Valley, 96.3 in Hot Springs.
This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Call or text the McClarty Daniel hotline at 877-377-6963. McClarty Daniel, a vehicle for every lifestyle.
When you're looking for a new car, you want to shop for a vehicle you love with an organization you trust. You've probably heard that McClarty Daniel means making deals, but what I'm inspired by the most is that McClarty Daniel means making a difference in our community. When you buy a vehicle with McClarty Daniel, you reinvest right here in the community, in our schools, in our little leagues, in our food banks, and our people. So you're not just making a purchase, you're making a difference too. Come see us at any of our 6 locations in Northwest Arkansas.
Tommy Kraft here. When it came time for new gates and some fence repairs at my home, the Fence Man was my first call. The Fence Man does it all, from large commercial jobs to small residential repairs. Wood privacy fence, vinyl fence, commercial or residential chain link, even custom wrought iron fencing. 479-782-3936. 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit is now available. If it involves fencing, the Fence Man does it. The Fence Man. He ain't afraid of no work. 479-782-3936.
A dandy white perch. Big old slab. C'est bon, sacalé.
One beautiful crappie.
It's a paper mouth.
Some serious crappie.
Nice speck.
We got crappie. They might go by different names, but all prefer the same thing. Bobby Garland, America's favorite white perch, slab, sacalé, paper mouth, crappie, speck, crappie baits.
I call it dinner.
Rockwell and Orwell are both known for their work from 1984. It's no conspiracy that somebody's watching me, because the terms and agreements that no one reads is the reason there's no privacy. Big tech is tracking every move you make and is starting to control society and how you participate. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and Revelation 13 describes a mark for those who fall for this utopian dream. I'm Pastor Eve from Woodland. Read about it.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.
Looking for an African adventure without the hassle of planning? Kruger Safari Club has got you covered. Our custom hunting and safari packages take care of everything from transportation to accommodations, so you can focus on enjoying the experience of a lifetime. With our team's extensive knowledge of the best hunting and safari spots in South Africa, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe, you'll have access to some of the most breathtaking views and exciting game hunting opportunities on the planet. And with our commitment to ethical hunting and giving back to the local community, you'll know that your trip with us is making a positive impact. Book your trip now and let us take care of the rest. Find out more at KrugerSafariClub.com.
Are you looking for the best Razorbacks insight and analysis?
Hell yes.
How about listening to an Arkansas football legend?
Matt Jones, all he does is make big plays.
What's the voice of the Hogs have to say?
Hey, what a great crowd last night.
Don't forget about the Omahogs.
The Hogs are going to Omaha.
Matt Jones, Chuck Barrett, and Phil Elson, the best in the business on the Hit That Line Podcast Network. Go to hitthatline.com or search Hit That Line wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share.
And a comfortable experience every time. Riley Farm Dental, 5901 Riley Park Drive, Suite A, at the entrance to Riley Farms. Now offering same-day crowns. Call 226-3500 for an appointment or visit RileyFarmDental.com.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Arkansas football. It's the players running through the A. Hog hats. It's more than 70,000 fans calling Woo Pig Suey.
Oh,
yes, sir.
Guys, I've got just one thing I want to say to you. Touchdown, Arkansas!
Arkansas wins the national championship! The Arkansas Razorbacks have completed the dream season!
This is your Hog Update on the Morning Rush. Brought to you by Mr. Sparky. Need a licensed electrician to service your home? For one of their local pros, call 888-8-SPARKY.
All right, let's get into our Hog Update, starting with some pro Hogs in the National Basketball Association that had some decent games, starting with Moses Moody, who might be more of a staple for Golden State this year. Tuesday night had 11 points, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block in 18 minutes. Anthony Black played in his first game, got his first bucket and one for the Orlando Magic the other night. Isaiah Joe had a really good game, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Daniel Gafford, solid game for the Wizards, 6 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Guys, some of the Arkansas players that made an impact in the first 2 days of the opener of the NBA season.
Well, it's good to see the NBA season get around. I think they still start too early, but I tell you, we went over this yesterday. Was it 10 pro Hogs that are on rosters?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the best, Chuck. That may be the best it's, I don't know, maybe ever been to have 10 guys on rosters opening night.
There's a lot of them out there. It is hard to find your way and make your niche in the NBA. The thing that I wonder about, based on what we saw, and it's just a very, very small sample size. Moses is in Golden State's, what I would call their legit rotation, not the rotation of guys you put in when it's a blowout. I mean, you guys you play when the game's on the line, and it seems like Isaiah Joe is moving more towards that as well. But you think about how good those guys were in college, particularly Moses. I thought Moses, when he was here, was just one of the smartest, best basketball players we've ever had. And it's taken him a while. Now, granted, he's been on a really good team, but they clearly think a lot of him because they've kept him. And he clearly wants to be there because, from what I gather, he hasn't tried to leave. And Isaiah's in a situation where he gets to play. And both those guys, it seems like, based on, again, a very small sample size, are making headway. But it does go to show how hard it is to get a job and keep a job.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've got a lot of players in the league. Not a lot of them played a lot of minutes, quite honestly, and they may not right now. But that doesn't mean they won't because, again, it just takes it. These guys go into the NBA so young now and really so unprepared for the play on the floor. And they learn as they're getting paid a lot. And so I'm not arguing with the move. I'm just saying it takes a little bit longer to get into the legit rotation, perhaps.
And by the way, Nathan texted on the McCarty Daniel hotline, and I was going to say this too. Ricky Council just signed a 2-way contract with the Sixers yesterday, so you've now got 11 former Razorbacks playing in the NBA. So congrats to Ricky and all those guys.
Well, he's I don't think he's with his, what we would say in baseball, the big club. I don't know if he's going to be with the Sixers a lot. but he's going to be playing, and they obviously think a lot of him if they want to keep him around.
Yep, him and Stanley Amude kind of in that same situation. We got the official announcement earlier this week that Sports San Diego announced the 2024 Rady Children's Invitational has the Hogs. I know John Rothstein reported that a while back. BYU, Notre Dame, and Purdue are also going to be included. This is going to be one of the tournaments that Arkansas plays a little after Thanksgiving next year. Chuck, you're missing out on some of these fun experiences, man. I know you get to go to a lot of stuff, but Bahamas, Maui, now San Diego. I know Muss is happy to go home. He was joking about them going to Mama's house next year.
Very, very, very excited about that opportunity to play in San Diego. When you think about the teams that are going to be there, great field, super, super excited. I'll be able to see my mom, that my mom will be able to have the team over to her house for a good meal. I'm kind of excited to show the guys, like, hey, this is where I grew up. This is the outdoor court that I played on. Here's the beach that we used to go surf on. So I'm completely excited.
You can tell he's jacked for this tournament next year. It's invitational.
Well, clearly, he's going to be, the opportunity to go home is going to be one of the selling points of that tournament. And they obviously appealed to Muss, and, that was appealing to him. It is a good field, no doubt about that. There are a lot of good fields for holiday tournaments, though. So I'm sure the appeal of being able to play in San Diego's real high on his list. Now, from a personal standpoint, I'm about ready for him to move this Missouri game to Saturday. It's screwing up my trips. I don't get to go to the Bahamas, and if they don't move it next year, I'm not going to get to go to San Diego. So I don't know that Greg Sankey will take my call, but I don't know. I may lobby for that.
You may advocate for
I don't like the Black Friday game anyway, if you want to know the truth. I think they ought to play it on Saturday, but that's just me.
There it is. Last thing here in your Hog update, soccer plays tonight at 6:30 against Mississippi State. It's on the SEC Network Plus. Again, congratulations to Colby Hale and his team. 4 straight regular season conference titles. Razorback Field's a fun place to watch a game, and there'll be postseason there this fall.
3,000 the other day.
Mm-hmm. They fill it up, man.
Big.
It's a cool venue. If you're in Northwest Arkansas and you haven't gotten a chance to go, it's a fun place to take the kiddos and experience it a little bit. That's going to do it for your Hog Update this morning. It is brought to you by our friends at Mr. Sparky.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
So, Chuck, we haven't gotten a chance to talk with you just yet about the MLB playoffs, which now we have a World Series, and we know that it's the Arizona Diamondbacks against the Texas Rangers. First game is tomorrow night, 7 o'clock on Fox. What'd you think of the Diamondbacks getting it done back-to-back in Philly, man?
Hey, man, you got to give them credit for that. I love the fact they stole bases, man. They played baseball. The Phillies are kind of the embodiment of the modern game. Strikeout, home run, walk.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much what they do. I was noticing in that game, Schwarber had 5 home runs in the postseason and 6 RBIs. Harper had 5 home runs and 8 RBIs. They hit a lot of solo homers. And I got to tell you, as an old school guy, kind of did my heart good to see a team that lives by the homer die by the homer.
I will say that I think it would have been better for baseball that Philadelphia made it because of one of the guys you just mentioned, Bryce Harper. He is such a polarizing figure. Baseball doesn't have enough guys that people love to hate, or if they're their team's star, they love to love. And I would guess, again, I could be wrong, I don't think the numbers are going to be great for this World Series unless it's just like a 1-point or one-run game each game. I just don't anticipate it being good for ratings-wise.
I don't think it would have been great ratings-wise if the Phillies had been in there. I just don't think the game right now is where you're going to draw huge World Series ratings, regardless of who is in there. But I'm glad the Diamondbacks won. The Rangers are a great story in our part of the world. They're fun to watch, and I think it's going to be a good World Series. Now, what the numbers are going to be, probably not great, would be my guess.
They need Ohtani. They need some of their household names to be in these games, and they got to get him on a team that's good.
Well, that's part of it maybe, but I just think the the game's not as good as it once was. I mean, it's just not. I don't care what anybody says. The media love the new rules because they meet their deadlines earlier on their obligations. They love a 2-hour and 40-minute game. They get their stories written. They get home a little earlier, do whatever they do. But that's all media-driven. It's not fan-driven. It's media-driven. And, I don't know. I'm going to sound like John Smoltz and be a grouchy old baseball guy here in a minute if I don't be quiet.
Hang on. We'll get off your lawn.
It's going to be a good World Series. I do think that. And I'll watch some of it.
Well, Purdue this weekend coming to town to Fayetteville for a basketball game. There's no better place to watch games this weekend with college football and maybe have a great meal before or after the basketball game than Sassy's Barbecue in Fayetteville. They got the original Red House on North College. And Sassy's Barbecue and Grill just off the Weddington exit on Steamboat. Try those award-winning smoked wings, baby back ribs, their famous nachos, drink specials during the game, and happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6. When it comes to barbecue, catfish, burgers, and more, nobody does it better than Sassy's. Eat, drink, and be sassy.
All right, we'll get to hour number 3 coming up, including coming back to the NIL discussion we had earlier and tie that in with Razorback Sports.
Semaglutide and Teraziptide is a weight loss game changer. This is what the medical community is saying about the latest FDA-approved weight loss medication. Vici Aesthetics and Wellness is offering a detailed program to all of Arkansas and Missouri, in-office or telemedicine visits available. To schedule your medical consultation and get started on the #1 prescription choice by medical providers for safe and effective weight loss, call or text 479-343-8424. 479-343-8424.
Hog fans, this is Robert.
This is Elizabeth.
And this is Matt, and we're with the Stadium Shop on Razorback.
The only Razorback store that is owned and operated locally by a family of U of A alumni.
And the Stadium Shop on Razorback is the largest Razorback store south of the North Pole.
That's right. Hang on, what?
Yeah, I said it's the largest Razorback store south of the North Pole.
That's what I thought you said, Dad.
Matt, don't egg him on. He's the reigning champion of his own conference.
Cool. Do I get a plaque or a trophy?
Anyway, folks, we have the largest selection of all things Razorback.
We do have pretty much everything a Razorback fan could want, from bedroom, tailgating, living room, hats, you name it, we got it.
You can give us a call at 479-STADIUM. That's 479-782-3486. Or come by and see us at 989 South Razorback Road in Fayetteville next to Baum Walker Stadium. Hey, Matt, you want to tell them about the interweb, Instagram, Facebook
Dad.
thing?
I think he means the website, which is shoponrazorback.com. That's shoponrazorback.com. And it's Facebook, Instagram, and X.
What about Twitter?
You mean Twitter, not Tweeter.
And it's called X.
Wait, what? I'm so confused.
Yes, we know, dear.
Just remember, it does not get more Razorback than us.
Go Hogs.
The best selection of RVs is now even better at Wheels RV in Springdale. Wheels RV has added Brinkley RVs to the already loaded lineup of Grand Design and Forest River products. See the Brinkley Model Z, the latest innovation in luxury fifth wheels. And like always, every new RV comes with a lifetime warranty, so you can camp with confidence. So stop in and find out why Wheels has been voted best RV dealer year after year. Wheels RV, 5 miles west of exit 72 off of I-49 in Springdale. Seek, explore, discover with Wheels RV.
This is the Morning Rush.
Locally owned Lumber One can handle all of your building needs. They've built their business on having great relationships with everybody from contractors and builders to the everyday build-it-yourself. Lumber One is a full-line door shop to handle all of your door, window, and trim needs. And along with lumber, roofing and drywall products, attic wall and floor insulation is available. Lumber One also does blueprint takeoff with access to design services with estimates available. So go where the pros go. Lumber One, located on Industrial Park Road in Van Buren.
Hardee's 2 for $5 mix and match breakfast bake goodness into your morning. Pick any 2 handcrafted favorites for only $5. Choose a made-from-scratch biscuit stacked with sausage and egg, biscuit and gravy, or a country fried steak biscuit. With Hardee's 2 for $5 mix and match breakfast, you get double the breakfast goodness for just $5. Hardee's, goodness in the making. These items only, tax not included. Price and participation may vary.
Hey, this is Matt Whitson, Executive Director of Arkansas Family Alliance. Bed poverty affects children all over the nation, and specifically Arkansas. Roughly 2 to 3% of children in the nation live without beds. Research from the National Institute of Health shows children who do not receive proper rest fall behind in learning and in school. Dream Team is an initiative of Arkansas Family Alliance with the mission of getting every child in the state off the floor to change the trajectory of their life. To learn more or to donate, visit arfamilyalliance.org/beds.
Tired of constant computer issues at work? And who knows what the real problem is? Is it the router? No, it's the hardware. Wait, they said it was the software. Call Hashtag Managed IT Services. Their multifaceted approach to IT support guarantees that everything is working at optimum performance. And Hashtag prevents the small problems from becoming big issues. Hashtag Managed IT Services in Van Buren. 479-802-4978. That's 479-802-4978. Hashtag technology without the headache.
Metal Mart offers high-quality, prefabricated metal buildings, metal roofing, custom trim shops, carports, and more. They strive to be the company where contractors as well as do-it-yourselfers are welcome. Metal Mart assists you in calculating the materials you need to complete your project, all at a rate you can afford. With locations in Fort Smith, Mayflower, Jonesboro, and Little Rock. Or catch them online at metalmarts.com. Metal Mart, the right material for the right price.
This is a public service announcement for hard seltzer lovers. Neutral Vodka Seltzer has arrived. Made with simple ingredients like vodka, seltzer, and real juice. Neutral tastes good. Like real good. So good that you'll never want to drink another artificial tasting seltzer again. Neutral's light and refreshing taste will show you what a vodka seltzer can be. Try Neutral, the one with the umlaut. Copyright 2023 Neutral Distilled Spirit Specialty, Los Angeles, California. Enjoy responsibly.
Elite Roofing is a locally owned roofing contractor. If you're building a new home or maybe need a new roof on your existing home, Elite Roofing can take care of you. Elite Roofing is known for their dependability and reliability. Just ask any of their satisfied customers. They are licensed and insured, and references are available upon request. If you need a roof, call your local roofing contractors. Elite Roofing, 478-8668. That's 478-8668. Elite Roofing, 478-8668.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
For today, mainly cloudy skies, a chance of scattered showers. Our high temperatures today in the mid to upper 70s. Showers with some thunderstorms likely tonight. An overnight low in the mid to upper 60s. And then some scattered showers and some thunderstorms in the mix for Friday. Highs near 80. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
The weather is brought to you by Come Get You Some, Arkansas's premier off-road superstore. Call 782-MUD today. KERX, Paris, Fort Smith.
Hey, we can't make you a morning person, but we can make your mornings.
ESPN 95.3.
I think the kids are excited. Again, that's no negative towards Coach Enos. It's just, I think they're excited. Obviously, when things have been difficult, one of the answers is change. The other answer, obviously, is to get better at what you're doing and those things. And we've tried that, and I feel like the kids feel like there is opportunity there for new life, maybe, or whatever you want to say. But we weren't doing our offense, we weren't doing it well. The only way I knew how to do it was try to change it. And certainly the kids have bought into that real well over the last 2 days.
Hey, this is Darren McFadden. You're listening to The Morning Rush.
Live from the Busch Light Studios.
Heard all across ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
Hit that line.
This is the Morning Rush with Ty Richardson, Tommy Kraft, and Chuck Barrett.
You're in need of a serious attitude adjustment, young man. You better get your priorities straight.
Produced by Christian Johnston.
In spite of the juvenile snickers of some, this is a serious matter.
Call or text the Morning Rush on the McClarty-Daniel hotline. With 6 locations in Springdale and Bentonville, a good deal is never too far away.
You don't need to wear a ball cap, man. You need to let those golden locks flow.
Yes, sir.
And it is hour number 2 of the Morning Rush on a Too Stupid Thursday. Now, we'll get back into Arkansas football in just a bit, but I want to go broader perspective here as we start this hour talking about NIL, particularly with the Razorbacks. Now, we were talking about Caleb Williams earlier. That Emmanuel Acho is advocating for him to be done with the rest of the season. Just end it, get ready for the NFL draft. Got a lot of pushback on that. I want to kind of tie that in back home here to Fayetteville coming up as we get going here, Tommy.
Brought to you by Uncorked this morning, one of my favorite places to go after work if you're meeting some friends or maybe a late afternoon business appointment. Uncorked's the perfect environment. It's not too loud where you can have what I call an adult conversation where you can hear each other without shouting over the table. They've always got a great selection, whether it's wines, whether it's a great beer or a craft beer, or whether it's a fine bourbon that you want to have a pour of. They can take care of you at Uncorked. A Saturday morning brunch, that's a great way to start your weekend. And I was at a little business gathering the other night, and they had some of their appetizers, kind of what we would call, guys, a smorgasbord out there of a lot of their appetizers. I tried those deep-fried deviled eggs. First time I tried those, let me tell you, if you go to Uncorked, you need to try those. Those are outstanding. Uncorked, the new fall menu's out. Check that out as well. Uncorked is on Phoenix Avenue, right next door to Sody's in Fort Smith. Make your reservations for a weekend night out, maybe a date night at uncorkedthefort.com, or just stop in and have a great time at 5501 Phoenix Avenue, right next door to Sody's in Fort Smith.
This hour of Chuck Barrett on the Morning Rush is presented by Mach 1 Financial. Mach 1 Financial Group, LLC is an SEC-registered investment advisor located in Bentonville, Arkansas. For full disclosures, visit mach1financial.com/disclosures.
We got an interesting text from Officer Breeding earlier in the show talking about NIL. He feels that not just head coaches in Fayetteville, but more head coaches in general, particularly in football and basketball and baseball to a certain extent as well, are no longer just coaches. They're having to be GMs as well and keep players on campus happy to this point. Guys, do you all agree with that? Because I think there's a lot of truth to what he said this morning.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, your responsibilities are greater than they were. NIL has thrown some things into that, and you're not so much a general manager, but you're certainly a roster manager, and keeping players motivated and happy, or kicking them in the butt. I mean, all those things, you've got to factor NIL into all that. I mean, you just do.
So I'd say it's harder than professional sports, Ty, because in professional sports you have contracts that require your current roster players to follow the free agency rules or the terms of a bargain deal through the union. In college, if a player wants to enter the portal, the coach or the university has little to no control over that. So I think the job in some ways is even more difficult than what you see in professional sports.
And I know it's been brought down to 45 days. They thought about doing 30, but it's 45 days. Some coaches, I think Sam Pitman still thinks it's too long at this point.
Well, you re-recruit your roster every day, and I think that's the thing that maybe you didn't have to do before. And, when Tommy's talking about in the pros, I mean, if you got a guy locked down for 3 years, I mean, you can go to work on him. But it's a different deal in college sports now. That's got a lot to do with it too. I'm sure there's a psychological component to it now that maybe there wasn't before.
So let's look at Arkansas. 3 major sports: football, basketball, and baseball. This got going July 1st of 2021. I'd argue that following calendar year, you had your best calendar season of those 3 sports in a while. You had a football team that won 9 games. You had a basketball team that made it to the Elite Eight, as they did the year before, and then a baseball team that made it to the basically semifinals of the College World Series. They're 1 game out from going to the finals. Then you parlay that with the following year. Football program underperforms. Your basketball program deals with injuries and doesn't get to where people thought they potentially could be. And then a baseball program that ends up losing in a regional. Do we have enough data to know if this is going to affect Arkansas for the worse or the better? Or is this something that we're going to need 10 or 15 years of before we make an assumption about if this has benefited Arkansas or if this has hurt the 3 major sports?
You mean NIL just in general?
NIL.
Has it helped or hurt?
Yes. Specifically with this program's athletic department.
Well, first off, I think you cannot, and I know you do it a lot and others do too, you cannot compare, you cannot lump football, basketball, baseball together. They're completely different animals. All of them are completely different animals. The components that go into success, completely different. Now, the NIL is the one common denominator. I don't think it's had a more profound effect one way or the other on Arkansas than it has a lot of schools. But I do think that, and I said this at the beginning, and there's been nothing that's happened that's made me think otherwise. This is still a system by which the rich are going to get richer. And when you look at let's just take college football. You look at the rankings pre-NIL, you look at the rankings post-NIL, pretty much the same. Same group of teams in there. You know, and I don't see that changing. I don't think the NIL will change the pecking order as much as people think. I think, and again, we don't really have enough data to know on this.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I could talk forever about the NIL, and again, I've always been for players being compensated, but this thing's just nuts right now in what it's turned into. At the fair to Midland programs, if you want to use an old country term, I don't know that it affects how good you are, but I do think it may affect how people feel about their team and the players if they don't win as many games as they think they should. You've got a lot of guys out there who are being paid more money than they'll ever make in their lives. You got guys out there right now making more money than the average listener of this program will make in 10 years. And the bigger picture, I think, is, are we setting these kids up for a really hard fall when they're about 23, 24 years old? I think the answer to that will be proven to be yes. But I just don't know if we know yet how much it's going to affect Arkansas per se. But I don't think there's any evidence that the food chain is going to change all that much.
Yeah. And, we were talking, about the expectations and the pressure. There's already enough pressure on these coaches that are making $5 to $10 million, depending on where you're at, to coach football. Now these players are being, particularly the star players, paid handsomely. In pro sports, as I was comparing a minute ago, you know what your quarterback's making. It's very public what your players are making. It's accessible. College sports, it's not that way with the NIL money yet. I think when that becomes a little more readily known and out there, Chuck, I think the way fans view all of this will dynamically change.
Well, this is going to be such a double-edged sword, and there are so many things with the NIL that's a double-edged sword. But there's got to be some fairness, and players have got to know what other kids at other schools are getting. That's just basic fairness. You've got to be able to understand the market.
Yep.
But when you do that, you reveal what some kids on your team are getting. And when you get into that, people find out, and then you don't perform the way that they think you ought to be performing for that money, even though it's just average money or sometimes even below average money compared to what the market commands. There's going to be a pushback. I think we're seeing it to an extent here, and I think we'll see it to a greater extent everywhere. You think fans at Southern Cal right now, what do you think they're thinking about Caleb Williams right now? What do you think that fans at Clemson thought about DJ when he underperformed there? Every time a kid screws up, it's going to be like the pros. That guy's making so much money, he doesn't care.
Well,
and sometimes that might be true. Most of the time it won't be.
Just look at Sam Pitman. How many calls and text guys have we taken? You've heard it too. Well, he's making $6 million a year.
That's exactly right.
Okay. $6 million, that is a lot of money. That's more money than any of us will probably make in a lifetime. I get that. But at the same time, you look at the comparisons of what everyone else in the SEC is making, and Sam's not ahead of schedule. Maybe compared to this year's record, you could make the case, but Sam's not overpaid based on the market. So I mean, it's all relative. May not like the number because we can't fathom it, but you got to put it in perspective.
My suspicion would be if you were to really start, adding up the numbers and ranking the schools in the SEC in terms of their money, from budget to NIL to everything. Mm-hmm. Coaches' salaries. I would suspect that if you were to really put pen to paper, you'd find Arkansas would be somewhere 9th, 10th in the league. But now, do we expect our team to perform at that level? I mean, you're going to be satisfied with a 9th or 10th finish every year in the SEC? Well, no. Of course you're not. But when you start adding up the money, that's about where you fall in the pecking order. And so, yes, it is so easy to look at what somebody's making when they're not performing the way that you think they ought to be. And I think that's going to be true with players as we go forward. I think that's the flip side to this, is that people are paying attention to that stuff more than they did even a year ago, or when they talked about it. I always said when you started talking about paying players, the devil's going to be in the details. And I think we're seeing that right now. Principally, I've always been for the idea. I've always been for it. But how you administer this has always been the challenge, and I think it's even more challenging perhaps than people imagine it would be.
If you've got some thoughts on this, you can jump in here. Again, 877-377-6963 is our McClarty Daniel hotline. So here's what I would say to what y'all are saying on the advocating for making this open where players can know. Do you guys want people knowing y'all's salaries?
Well, no,
I know.
and that's the point. That's the point.
That's where the rub is going to be when it comes to that, because there's not many other industries. You guys were referencing the NFL. Those salaries aren't public sources get them, or agencies put them out there so they can show how much their client is made. There's not just some database that you can go to that the NFL has cataloged of each and every player. The agents put it out there so they can show how much their client's worth, how much they're making, and stuff like that. There is we have the transfer portal now, which allows, particularly, it's supposed to be just coaches, but they give their logins out. People have access to it. And the same thing will happen if it's just supposed to be a coach-player-only portal, per se, of the salaries.
I also think there's going to have to be, and perhaps revealing what people are getting is a step towards this, a double-edged step, but certainly a step. I do think there's going to have to be a reckoning at some point about not only are the players being compensated for their name, image, and likeness, but there's got to be a mechanism in place. There's so many people out there that are going to exploit these kids even more than they've been exploited before, because now people are going to be trying to take their money, whether it's selling them something, whether it's convincing them to buy into something, whether it's trying to sell them on their ability to give them financial advice. We talked about for years, and what led to all this was there was the feeling, and with a lot of justification, that these kids were being exploited.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, there's got to be a reckoning. I see kids, they go to a place and buy something, and then it's all over the internet. Well, it's not the kid that's putting it out there. It's the person who sold it to them, because they profit. They benefit off that association. And I just think there's more to come on this. I think the next wave of all this, in terms of exploitation, if you want to use that term, there's a lot of leeches out there in the world. And they're leeching onto these kids the same way they leech onto pro athletes. Pro athletes get scammed every day. And I worry about that for these kids. I know schools are doing the best they can. But there's a lot of people out there, some of them well-meaning, some of them not, who are trying to piggyback off these kids. And I think they're going to have to reckon with that at some point.
Well, the other thing that makes me think about all this is we've seen in college basketball Jay Wright, Mike Krzyzewski, and Roy Williams reportedly exit the sport because of this and the transfer portal. We haven't seen that exit yet in football, and I thought this would be the undoing for Saban. I thought this would push him out the door, and it hasn't. In fact, his teams, at least this year, excelled, maybe relative to the last 2 years. I wonder when we're going to see, if we do a mass exodus of coaches at some point, that are just like, you know what, I'm 60-something, I'm 70-something, I'm done. I'm not dealing with this too. That this would push them out.
But Sam's in a different spot than most of your head coach. He hadn't spent 15 or 20 years making $3, $4, $5 million. The kind of money that Sam Pitman's making now is, relatively new when you compare it to the rest of his career. He's made a great living, don't get me wrong. He's made a lot more money than most for his entire career. But the kind of money he's making now is tenfold what he was making as an assistant. It's not like he's done that for 10 or 15 years at this point. So I think his perspective is different than most coaches.
Well, and too, both those guys you were talking about, Williams and Krzyzewski, were wealthy. and it goes to what you were saying, Tommy. I don't know about being either one, but there's a difference, I'm told, between being rich and being wealthy.
I'd try either one on.
Coach K and Roy Williams are wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've amassed generational wealth over the course of their lifetimes. In the case of our head coach in football, he is not. And as you said, Tommy, he's made a good living. I think that Krzyzewski and Williams were about at the end of the line anyway. That's something to cite, and I'm not saying it didn't have something to do with it, and it may drive other people out of it, but no more so than changes in any business. Drive some people out, and other people adapt and move on, and that's just kind of how the world works.
It hadn't seemed to keep Saban from going. I mean, he doesn't appear any closer to being done. He's going to retire at some point. I mean, just age dictates that, but NIL
they
hadn't
got the
driven
most
him out.
money. They got the most money.
Right.
Let's just be honest. Alabama's got the most money all the way across the board. And I think that, unfortunately, you know, success and failure in college football particularly has always hinged on, at least to a great degree, who's got the most money with which to work. Who's got the most money. NIL's not changed that. In fact, it's only given those with more, even more. And I just don't see the food chain changing because of NIL.
Yeah. Well, speaking of money, there's no better place to go than the Mach 1 Financial Podcast, Chuck, to figure out how to manage your money.
Well, they're talking about inflation right now, and that's got certainly an effect on money, too. There's a lot of things they talk about on the Market Moment podcast. The thing I like about it is you've got local people. They take a lot of these national issues that we read about or hear about, and they bring them right into our own backyard and talk about how it's going to affect us and, you know, why it matters, for example, when the Fed makes certain decisions that they make. If you've not listened to it, you can check out the latest episode of the Market Moment podcast by heading to market-moment.com. That's market-moment.com. And we'll remind you that Mach 1 Financial Group, LLC, is an SEC-registered investment advisor. They're located in Rogers. For full disclosures, visit mach1financial.com/disclosures.
We got a big week in high school football here in the state of Arkansas. Also a big week for our ESPN Arkansas High School Player of the Week, presented by Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Amari Tucker, Southside senior running back, Matt Contreras, Hot Springs senior quarterback, and Dax Goff of Boonville, Tommy, are your three contestants for our ESPN High School Player of the Week this week.
Yeah, just go to hitthatline.com, click on Player of the Week. You can cast your vote there. You can do it once an hour, every hour. So if you want to stuff the ballot box, you can do it. And it is brought to you by Shamrock Roofing and Construction. So be sure and go and cast your vote here before the end of the weekend.
And we also got our ESPN NFL Pick'em, where Christian, Big C, you're currently still up right now. You got 66 points. Tommy, you and I are right behind him. That's presented by our friends at Moix RV and Heartland Honda. So if you haven't got your picks in this week and your Survivor picks as well, make sure you get those in on hitthatline.com. So we got basketball this week, and I do want to touch on some things that Eric Musselman talked about coming up in just a bit. Guys, I've been looking forward to this game all summer, and I know they played last Friday, but this was really, to me, the start of the season is this Saturday against Purdue.
Well, listen to what Muss said when he spoke with the media on Tuesday, and I think people need to keep this in mind. Arkansas is playing a veteran team on Saturday.
Yep.
I mean, a veteran, physical, top 5 basketball team. And they will be that kind of opponent. It's going to be that kind of game.
Yeah. So I'm thinking there's going to be a good crowd there. I don't know if it'll be a full building, but I'm expecting 15,000 plus, 16. I know they've sold 17,000 tickets. I don't know if they'll all show, but it's going to be a big crowd.
It'll be a full house. I'm certain of that.
Yeah.
May not be like every seat taken, but you'll look around and say, man, it's full.
When you got a lot going on, you need to be sure and record all those games with the DVR from World of Wireless. 877-305-DISH is the number. 877-305-3474. When you call WOW now, they'll install you before the weekend is up and make sure that you are ready to go before all the big games happen. Plus, you can record your favorite movies and shows and everything else as the weekend unfolds.
This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Call or text the McClarty Daniel hotline at 877-377-6963. McClarty Daniel, a vehicle for every lifestyle.
When you're looking for a new car, you want to shop for a vehicle you love with an organization you trust. You've probably heard that McClarty Daniel means making deals, but what I'm inspired by the most is that McClarty Daniel means making a difference in our community. When you buy a vehicle with McClarty Daniel, you reinvest right here in the community, in our schools, in our little leagues, in our food banks, and our people. So you're not just making a purchase, you're making a difference too. Come see us at any of our 6 locations in Northwest Arkansas.
Tommy Kraft here. When it came time for new gates and some fence repairs at my home, the Fence Man was my first call. The Fence Man does it all, from large commercial jobs to small residential repairs. Wood privacy fence, vinyl fence, commercial or residential chain link, even custom wrought iron fencing. 479-782-3936. 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit is now available. If it involves fencing, the Fence Man does it. The Fence Man. He ain't afraid of no work. 479-782-3936.
A dandy white perch. Big old slab. C'est bon, sacalé.
One beautiful crappie.
It's a paper mouse.
Some serious crappie.
Nice speck.
We got crappie.
They might go by different names, but all prefer the same thing. Bobby Garland, America's favorite white perch, slab, sockeye, papermouth, crappie, speck, crappie baits.
I call it dinner.
Rockwell and Orwell are both known for their work from 1984. It's no conspiracy that somebody's watching me, because the terms and agreements that no one reads is the reason there's no privacy. Big tech is tracking every move you make and is starting to control society and how you participate. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and Revelation 13 describes a mark for those who fall for this utopian dream. I'm Pastor Eve from Woodland. Read about it.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.
Looking for an African adventure without the hassle of planning? Kruger Safari Club has got you covered. Our custom hunting and safari packages take care of everything from transportation to accommodations, so you can focus on enjoying the experience of a lifetime. With our team's extensive knowledge of the best hunting and safari spots in South Africa, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe, you'll have access to some of the most breathtaking views and exciting game hunting opportunities on the planet. And with our commitment to ethical hunting and giving back to the local community, you'll know that your trip with us is making a positive impact. Book your trip now and let us take care of the rest. Find out more at KrugerSafariClub.com.
Are you looking for the best Razorbacks insight and analysis?
Hell yes.
How about listening to an Arkansas football legend?
Matt Jones, all he does is make big plays.
What's the voice of the Hogs have to say?
Hey, what a great crowd last night.
Don't forget about the Omahogs.
The Hogs are going to Omaha.
Matt Jones, Chuck Barrett, and Phil Elson, the best in the business, on the Hit That Line Podcast Network. Go to hitthatline.com or search Hit That Line wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share.
Riley Farm Dental, at the entrance to Riley Farms, provides every type of dental care and procedure for you and your family, from general dentistry, braces, implants, and cosmetics. Dr. Sparkman, Davis, and Farmer give all of their patients better lives with a better smile, more confident, and a comfortable experience every time. Riley Farm Dental, 5901 Riley Park Drive, Suite A, at the entrance to Riley Farms. Now offering same-day crowns. Call 226-3500 for an appointment or visit RileyFarmDental.com.
If you knew all that Jody's Auto Service Centers can do for your vehicle and you'd never take your vehicle anywhere else. My fleet is small, 14 trucks and cars. It's a struggle every day with parts, employees, and scheduling, but one thing I never worry about is vehicles. Jody's has special fleet pricing, special in and out service, or free shuttle and pickup and delivery service. And they do everything: service, repair, and maintenance. That makes my life much easier. All my vehicles go to Jody's. Latest technology and highly trained technicians means we could do it all. From the most highly technical repairs to everyday oil change specials. Tires, everything, even diesels. Jody'sAuto.com. Schedule free shuttle service or pickup and delivery. Get a tire quote, get financing. Jody's Auto Service Centers, voted best of the best by our customers year after year. We're your neighbors since 1984 with 3 full-service locations in Fort Smith and Van Buren. See for yourself at JODYSAuto.com.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Y'all ready for this?
You're listening to The Morning Rush with Ty Richardson, Tommy Kraft, and Chuck Barrett.
I am a big believer in body language, and I will echo what Nelson said a moment ago about body language. What I hope more than anything is that some passion will return on that side of the ball. That's what I see missing right now.
Now, hopefully you see some of it next week against Florida. We'll again talk more about that game next week when it's actually game week. I know the guys have started again today addressing the Gators and getting into some film and preparing for that. But just circling back to what we were talking about there, I think there's one question that we have to ask ourselves when it comes to currently in football. Does Arkansas have enough money in NIL side of things to compete with the Alabamas, the LSUs, the Georgias? We'll touch on that coming up in just a sec.
Kruger Safari Club is right here in northwest Arkansas. Our buddy Jason Carney has made over 75 trips to Africa. And if you've been dreaming about a trophy hunting trip that will make memories that will last a lifetime, the Kruger Safari Club is the one you want to call to arrange everything. Jason is here. He'll travel with you. This is private group traveling, not public group traveling. You're not going to be left on your own to figure out what to do next. In fact, the conversation will start over a cup of coffee somewhere, most likely, maybe over some lunch, and really understand the process of what it's like to go to a place like South Africa, to experience the culture, to see Johannesburg and Cape Town, and then go to the Kruger National Park for ethical hunting that really supports and keeps their economy going, and, be the adventure that you've always wanted. And you think, well, man, that's got to be expensive. It's got to be a more expensive way of doing it. Actually, it's more affordable because Jason knows all the ins and the outs of this. Affordable trips that are really less than most whitetail hunting trips, and really it's about $500 a day for you to go, and that includes all of your accommodations. That includes all your meals and your beverages and your guides for hunting and all of that. So get your questions answered with a phone call starting to Jason. His direct number is 479-466-4001. Go to KrugerSafariClub.com for videos and pictures and more details there as well. 479-466-4001 or KrugerSafariClub.com.
Is the question I ask incapable to be answered because we don't have public documentation or access to knowing how much Arkansas is getting funded to their NILs? I mean, are we just guessing based on reading between the lines and tea leaves here and there? I just don't know how to judge the question that I just asked, to be honest.
I don't know that there's a mechanism by which we can judge. Now, I'm sure those inside the industry probably have a pretty good idea. My suspicion is, and I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, if you add up all the numbers, I suspect the NIL budgets are, in terms of pecking order, probably real similar to the overall athletic budget. There's only so much money out there. I mean, there just is. And, schools now, you're asking people, we wondered, when people talked about paying the players, we wondered, well, where's the money going to come from? Well, we know now the money's going to come from fans and boosters, by and large. That's where it's going to, or at least a lot of it is. And so you're asking for money on one side to fund your program, and you're asking money on the NIL side to fund your players. Now, in a perfect world, I guess, you get so much money off your media rights deals and things like that you can run your athletic program, and, a lot of the other money can go into NIL. Now, not everybody's in that spot. In fact, I don't suspect very many are. I've always wondered, and I worry, I guess, if you want to use that term, where Arkansas lies. Do they have enough money, particularly in football?
Yeah.
In basketball, you're funding 13 guys. Baseball, you're funding, 25? They're not even on full scholarship. Football, you got to fund 85 guys. That's a lot of money.
So you bring up the aspect of the media rights money that they get. Revenue sharing's, I think, coming at some point. Now, I don't know if it's in the year.
Well, you already have
5
it
years.
to a great extent. You already have it in your media rights deals. At least in the SEC you do.
But players getting more of that money. That is coming down the pipeline at some point.
And they may now. We just don't know. We don't know we really don't know what comes from where. I mean, we have an idea based on what we've seen. I don't know how that works. I don't know if indirectly they get a chunk of it now or not. I'm not sure.
We know they get the stipend. Now they're getting the NIL money. The stipend was a good improvement. What's that been, a decade? It's $1,500, $2,000, something like that a month that they get. But this NIL is a whole different animal. And the problem is there's just not enough structure. I hate to use the word controls because people don't like the word control, but there's just not enough structure to how this thing is supposed to be administered.
Well, you're right, and there's so much that, frankly, we just don't know. I won't claim to know all the ins and outs of, roster management and who's getting funded and how many players. I don't pretend to know that. I do know there's a lot of them that are being compensated. Let's just be honest about it. And unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, I guess, do you have enough money really does go to the heart of the matter for a lot of schools out there.
Yeah, and that's going to continue to be a challenge, I think, for Arkansas. It's keeping up with the Joneses, and you need people like the Joneses, like Jerry Jones, to make sure you don't fall behind. And everybody just assumes because Walmart and Tyson and J.B. Hunt are here that the money grows on trees, but that is just not the fact of the matter.
They've all been incredibly generous. They've all been incredibly generous. When people say, well, why don't you just have the rich people up there pay for it? They're already given an arm and a leg.
Yeah. Hey, I want to tell you about Matchstick Studios before we step aside. If your business website needs an update or maybe a complete overhaul, Modular Orange will write, design, launch, host, and secure your website for $95 a month, and there's no other hidden costs, there's no other fees. You can't operate a business in today's world without a great-looking website. And don't say, well, I use Facebook, that's my website. You don't have control over that. Facebook controls that. So it's time to get up to date. It's time to get your website back under control with a call to Modular Orange, 479-755-3043, or go to modularorange.com.
Getting our SEC update on a Thursday coming up.
Shop local, eat local, be local. You're listening to The Morning Rush.
The best selection of RVs is now even better at Wheels RV in Springdale. Wheels RV has added Brinkley RVs to the already loaded lineup of Grand Design and Forest River products. See the Brinkley Model Z, the latest innovation in luxury fifth wheels. And like always, every new RV comes with a lifetime warranty, so you can camp with confidence. So stop in and find out why Wheels has been voted best RV dealer year after year. Wheels RV, 5 miles west of exit 72 off of I-49 in Springdale. Seek, explore, discover with Wheels RV.
Hog fans, this is Robert.
This is Elizabeth.
And this is Matt, and we're with the Stadium Shop on Razorback.
The only Razorback store that is owned and operated locally by a family of U of A alumni.
And the Stadium Shop on Razorback is the largest Razorback store south of the North Pole.
That's right. Hang on, what?
Yeah, I said it's the largest Razorback store south of the North Pole.
And that's what I thought you said, Dad.
Matt, don't egg him on. He's the reigning champion of his own conference.
Cool. Do I get a plaque or a trophy?
Anyway, folks, we have the largest selection of all things Razorback.
We do have pretty much everything a Razorback fan could want, from bedroom, tailgating, living room, hats, you name it, we got it.
You can give us a call at 479-STADIUM. That's 479-782-3486. Or come by and see us at 989 South Razorback Road in Fayetteville next to Baum Walker Stadium. Hey, Matt, you want to tell them about the interweb, Instagram, Facebook
Dad.
thing?
I think he means the website, which is shoponrazorback.com. That's shoponrazorback.com. And it's Facebook, Instagram, and X.
What about Twitter?
You mean Twitter, not Tweeter.
And it's called X.
Wait, what? I'm so confused.
Yes, we know, dear.
Just remember, it does not get more Razorback than us.
Go Hogs.
This is The Morning Rush.
Touchdown, Arkansas, 80 yards.
yards.
The first thing people notice when they drive up to your home or walk in any room of your house is the color. And if you're looking for the perfect color and the perfect paint, you'll find it at the Paint Store in Van Buren. Hi, Tommy Kraft here. The Paint Store in Van Buren gives you hometown service from people who know what they're talking about. You don't have to chase them down to get help at the Paint Store. They're always there to help you get that perfect color and that perfect match for your project. If you're looking for the perfect paint color, it's at the Paint Store, 1414 Fayetteville Road in Van Buren.
Let me grab my car keys and we'll roll.
We still going to that new bar downtown?
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun. Lexi, give me driving directions from home to downtown bar district.
Autocorrect. Suggest Uber. Pick up. Home. Drop off downtown bar district.
No, I'm driving.
Suggest the Metro bus. Departing in 12 minutes.
Point taken, Lexi. We'll grab a ride.
If you drink, don't drive. Decide to ride. Brought to you in partnership by Anheuser-Busch, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and Uber.
Let's see. Leaky faucet Tuesday. Water flooding the yard. Better put that down for the middle of the month when the bills aren't due.
Honey, what are you doing?
Planning our plumbing problems, of course.
You can't plan our plumbing problems, but you should plan our plumber.
What do you mean?
Like all important contacts, I keep Westark Plumbing in my phone. They're always there when we need them, and they don't overcharge since they know we don't plan our plumbing problems. Here, honey, here's their number.
646-5151. Thanks, babe.
Westark Plumbing. We keep you flowing.
With over 40 years combined experience, the team at the law offices of Craig L. Cook understand the definition of work. Real work. Working for you. Whether you've been injured in an auto accident, on the job, a victim of nursing home negligence, or need help navigating bankruptcy, Social Security, wills, trusts, estates, or family law issues, Craig Cook will go to work for you. Call us today, 479-783-8000. The law offices of Craig L. Cook, with locations in Arkansas and Oklahoma. We work for working people.
Locally owned Lumber One can handle all of your building needs. They've built their business on having great relationships with everybody from contractors and builders to the everyday build-it-yourself. Lumber One is a full-line door shop to handle all of your door, window, and trim needs. And along with lumber, roofing and drywall products, attic wall and floor insulation is available. Lumber One also does blueprint takeoff with access to design services with estimates available. So go where the pros go. Lumber One, located on Industrial Park Road in Van Buren.
Today is the day. After countless hours of research, cutting back expenses, and 9 months of anxiously waiting for her, today is the day you finally bring home your new car. It's also the day to protect her with an auto policy from Shelter Insurance. Our policies are competitively priced and include new car replacement coverage if anything were to happen to your new baby.
Call Jason Hill in Greenwood or Wade Gilkey in Fort Smith.
We're back with the action. Coke Zero Sugar might be the best Coke ever.
That's right, Jim. With an irresistible taste and zero sugar, Coke Zero Sugar is a must-try for any sports fan. So make sure you... Wait, Jim, I didn't mean try it right now. We're still on the air.
Best Coke ever? Take a taste, Jen.
Really?
No, not right now, Jen. We got a game to call.
Watch every Hog game this season at Joe's Grill and Cantina, your home for half-price apps and taps during every Hog game. With TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat for all the action. Half-price appetizers like Joe's Sampler Platter, Ballpark Nachos, 10-layer dip, brisket nachos, and Mexican pizza. And ask about Joe's tailgate packages to make your football experience even better in the comfort of your home. Half-price apps and taps for every Hog game at Joe's Grill and Cantina, 3400 South 74th Street, across from Harps.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Somebody said we've got SEC bias. Deal with it. They're the best.
In the SEC, it just means more.
I know one thing. The SEC just got a little tougher.
This is your SEC update on the Morning Rush.
Big rivalry game in Jacksonville, Florida, where the Gators will take on the Bulldogs. It's the 2:30 CBS game. It's the one that people are really excited to watch, and for good reason. I mean, this is a fun neutral site game that we have every year. Tommy, next year, Texas and Oklahoma being SEC members will, of course, play in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl for their annual Red River Shootout game. What is the better rival? What is more intriguing to you to possibly go to at some point? Is the one in Dallas or the one in Jacksonville? Which is better?
Dallas. A, it's closer. Don't have to get on a plane. B, State Fair is there. So we can go down there and have everything from, fried Twinkies and corn dogs to fried butter.
I like where your head's at.
Yeah. So if I could go one or the other, Georgia, Florida, OU Texas, I'm going to Dallas.
I've been to Jacksonville like yourself. We went back in 2015 when the Arkansas Razorbacks lost to North Carolina in the round of 32 game. I wasn't just amazed at Jacksonville itself, but I do want to see this event. I've been to the Dallas area. I've never been to the Cotton Bowl, but I've been to Dallas like 100 times, and I don't.
You've never been to the Cotton Bowl?
Well, I've been to the actual stadium and stuff, but I've never been in that game like we're talking about.
Okay, so you've been to like an Arkansas game in there.
I don't think I went in 2000.
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
02 would have been the last one. Is that right?
I don't.
No, they played Missouri. What year is that? They played Missouri. They played OU in 02. They played Missouri 07. I guess would be the last time they played there.
I think I actually, again, I was a kid then. I think I actually might have gone to one of those games. I keep all these tickets. If I had to guess, when I go back through the Rolodex of tickets, I've been in. I don't have the same memory about that as I maybe should have when it comes to that game. I think I've been to at least one. But I do want to go to that game at some point because it's literally split half burnt orange, half Oklahoma. What do we consider the colors? Red, crimson. Okay.
I think crimson.
Crimson. Okay. I'd like to go see that at some point, but I think I'd slightly give the edge to Florida, Georgia, just because of not being to Jacksonville only but one time. Rather do that. Sam Pitman referenced a former SEC running back earlier this week, Carnell Cadillac Williams, who was one of the better running backs that Auburn's had in the last 2 decades. Him and Ronnie Brown, that was a great duo to watch when they were running in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Here's what he said about when Cadillac Williams took over the interim role last year and how he hopes that Kenny Guyton kind of gives his offense a similar spark.
I go back to Auburn last year and Cadillac going and him becoming the head coach, and they beat A&M and they beat Western Kentucky. They played Mississippi State real tough, who was a really fine team on the road. We lost our spirit on offense, and we've got to get it back. I think Kenny has a great rapport with the kids, and he's very knowledgeable, and I think the kids believe in him, and that'll make us play better right then and there.
So I don't think we'd say that Kenny Guyton is like all Arkansas, like Cadillac Williams is, but it did make a little sense. I mean, there's certain coaches that just don't sync with their players, but guys, it's kind of on the players now. I mean, if you're going to put the blame on Dan Enos, now it's kind of at the foot of the offensive players the next 4 games.
Kind of goes along with the theme of what we've talked about throughout the morning. You know, we're quick to blame coaches because they're making a lot of money. Well, some of these players are making a lot of money now. Some of these players are making at or near or above 7-figure money on your team. So, you know, if you're going to hold the standard to a coach because, well, that guy's making X hundreds of thousands as an assistant or a coordinator, $1 million plus as a coordinator, or $6 million as head coach, you know, it's only coming to that point where people are going to do that. That's what we've talked about throughout the morning. So, but in the end, do you think these coaches are teaching them the wrong technique on purpose? Do you think these coaches don't know what they're doing? That's how they got in the SEC? Of course not. Eventually, your players have to do what they're coached to do. And you also got to realize the other team is trying to blow that up. They have a game plan to diffuse what you're doing. So sometimes the other team's just better at what they're doing than what you're doing.
Nope, you're exactly right. And that is your SEC update this morning.
And it's brought to you by Vici Aesthetics and Wellness. I'm looking forward to another visit this week with Vici Aesthetics and Wellness. They can get your program started for weight loss before the holidays. Semaglutide and tirzepatide are weight loss game changers. And right now, Vici Aesthetics and Wellness has a unique program just for you on these FDA-approved medications to help support your weight loss, reduce the cravings, and really give you that weekly accountability with their check-ins that I know I needed, and probably you do as well. So to schedule your medical consultation and to get started with the #1 prescription choice by medical providers for safe and effective weight loss while also reducing cardiovascular risk, call our friends at Vici Aesthetics and Wellness. 479-343-8424 is their number. You can call or text that number. They can even set up a virtual appointment anywhere in Arkansas, Missouri, or Oklahoma as well. 479-343-8424 for Vici Aesthetics and Wellness.
Robert's in Fort Smith this morning on the McCarty Daniel Hotline. Robert, welcome into the program.
Hey, guys. Real quick, I was just going to see what your thoughts are on this. I don't think fire Sam this year. Fine. It is what it is. But next year, he only wins 4 games. I think he's taking his program as far as he can go. Or what do you think for the ceiling next year? He's going to have to get, because you can't keep doing this. And I know more than 3, but just if he wins 4 or 5, does he have to go? I'll see what y'all think.
Let me see. So next year, just this off the top of my head. So on the road, you go to Auburn, you go to Mississippi State, you go to Missouri, and you go to Dallas for the A&M game. Those are your 4 road games. Home game's awesome. Texas, LSU, Tennessee, Ole Miss, all coming into Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium next year. I think you play Pine Bluff and Little Rock, Tommy. Is that right?
I believe that's correct. You play what should be, well, no, you still got A-State down there too. So should be 2 more games.
Let's see who else you got in non-conference schedule. This says Oklahoma State. Is that right? They're going to Stillwater next year? I guess that's right. Louisiana Tech and who's the other not UAB. Those are your non-conference games. UAPB, UAB, Oklahoma State, and Louisiana Tech. I mean, that's not going to be an easy game in Boone Pickens next year. I mean, I don't care what Mike Gundy has. It's not exactly an easy place to play. So there's no guarantee you're going to get 4 non-conference wins this next year based on that. I mean, you'll probably beat UAB, probably beat I guess it's Trent Dilfer's squad. You'll beat UAPB and Pine Bluff, and hopefully you can beat Louisiana Tech. But again, that's no guarantee that you get 4 easy non-conference wins with playing Oklahoma State and Stillwater.
Let's get through this year. I mean, I don't think you. I mean, Robert, I understand your call, and it's a fair question, but I don't think you can. I mean, we're getting the cart miles in front of the horse talking about next year's expectations when we haven't finished a third of this season. Got to remember, 1/3 of this season, because I'm a believer that hey, if you only win 1 of these last 3, there may not be another season for this current staff. If you win 2 or 3, I believe there will be and should be. And I think Arkansas can ill afford to change coaches again after all of the change you've had for the last decade plus. So I think you got to get through this season before you can even start thinking about what the number has to be for next year. I don't know how you come to that math yet.
So you think he's gone if they don't win 2 games in the next 4?
I think if you go 1-3, I think it's got to be a serious conversation. I don't think they're going to do that, but I didn't think they'd also be 2-6. So, I mean, Robert's question was about next year.
Yeah.
And what Sam has to do next year. I don't think you can answer the question about next year when then you don't know the record for this year. If they win the last 4, I think it totally changes what you're thinking about next year. If they end up 6-6, I mean, that conversation's dead, right?
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. I mean, let's just be honest. They're not going to win the next 4, and that would put them in a bowl
game. They ain't played them yet, so let's see what happens. If they lose the next 4, which I don't think will happen either, changes the conversation.
What's more likely, they win the next 4 or lose the next 4? I think it's lose.
Well, I don't think either will happen.
But I think if you ask this fan base and our listeners, like, hey, you got to pick one. You win $100 if one happens. They're going to put them on lose at this point.
Well, I mean, that's because of the recency and what you've had. I mean, again, we're going to win the Powerball or the Mega Millions. That's an extreme, but still, the point is, you're talking about. Let's just get through the game at Florida. We only have a game this weekend. Let's just get through next week and see what happens because this offense may show you. Something miraculous. I'm not expecting that, but I would love to have my expectations exceeded.
Well, I'm going to stay on the negative side until they show me something positive because I was positive all offseason. I got burned by an offense that is the worst that you've seen maybe since John L. Smith and that unit. Statistically, it's worse than Morris. I mean, that's about as bad as you are right now. Statistically, you're worse than Chad Morris where they were at offensively, which is horrible to contemplate, but unfortunately.
Sam's defied insanity by doing something about it. Definition of insanity, we all know what that is. Well, we're not going to bang our heads on the wall doing the same thing over and over for the last 4 games. So, let's give it a chance to work. Before we declare it dead and doomed, let's give it a chance to see what happens here. And I don't think it's win 4 or it was a failure, but, you can't be win none either. And it can't be the old sad excuse, man, we're close. We lost close. I mean, we've had enough to fill our appetite of that as well.
Yeah. We got a text in from Michael in Cave Springs. He's going to the positive side. He thinks that this could potentially be an offensive juggernaut that just needs to be awakened. Michael, I love the energy. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong.
Offensive line's not there for that. So, I mean, firing Dan Enos is not going to fix your youth and inexperience at your tackle spots, and your veterans just got to play at a higher level in the middle of that offensive line. Hey, equip yourself with the best deals of the year during New Holland's Value Bonanza. It's going on right now at your local WT Equipment location. And you can find one of those at WTEquip.com. Here's the deal. Right now, get 0% financing for 60 months or big cash back on select mid-range tractors, including Workmaster Utility, Power Star, T5, and T6 models. Now, these tractors provide incredible performance, and right now it's easier to own than ever. In a Workmaster, high quality, low ownership cost will max out your productivity. Hey, work smarter and save big with incredible deals during New Holland's Value Bonanza. It's all at WT Equipment. Hurry, this offer ends December the 31st. Find that nearest location at WTEquip.com.
All right, we'll end today's show with a Too Stupid story on a Too Stupid Thursday. A drunken Florida woman was caught going 120 in a 55-mile-per-hour zone. Brittany Bianchi was arrested for her third DUI in 10 years. Third DUI in 10 years. She's 31 years old. She was charged with resisting an officer's arrest with violence, battery on law enforcement, habitual traffic offender, possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, and speeding with no insurance. When she was pulled over at a traffic stop and arrested for this DUI, she was taken into custody, and she allegedly became violent and dug her fingernails into the trooper's hands, according to the police report.
Well, you said that was in Florida?
St. Petersburg.
Yeah. Crazy stuff happens down there.
Seems to happen every
120 and a 55 will get you some attention.
Yes,
So.
it will. 120. Never, I don't think the highest I think I've ever gotten is at like 100 or 110. Never 120, especially in a 55. But that's where she was, apparently. Well, that's going to do it for today's show. Appreciate everyone joining us this morning. We will be back tomorrow in these chairs starting at 6 a.m.
Roger Scott for Leaf Guard of Arkansas. Attention homeowners, it's time to put gutter worries behind you with Leaf Guard of Arkansas, the only true one-piece single covered gutter system on